Wait, are we live yet?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Everybody's coming in.
Oh no.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Good morning, everybody.
Sorry, we're having a little fun this morning over here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's get to see Jose. Hi, Jose. Jennifer, Susan, Martine. Hi, Sabrina. Good to see you again. Netta, Jet, Joanne.
Good morning.
Morning.
Ezra. I think we're waiting for Hilda, is it? Oh, what a way to have a Saturday morning before the holidays, huh? Exciting. But you know what makes it exciting? We have kids with us today. All right, kids, wave. Hello. Is that Jasmine or the Grinch?
Yeah, I love that Grinch. Watch out, Jasmine, he's gonna get you.
My friend.
Cutie, cutie, cutie. So let's see. Victor, you're headed on vacation today?
Yeah, I should be leaving in about an hour and a half. I'm going up to Bisbee for the first time. Just a little road trip. So It should be cool.
Are you staying up there?
It's just gonna be a day trip.
Good for you.
Yeah, so it's just we'll be back and back.
Will you come pick me up?
I have no room.
I have no room.
Yeah, no room. That was nice and polite.
Oh, Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Oh, yay.
Hey, how are you? Are you ready for Christmas? Yeah.
Oh, and who's that, Lauren?
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you're getting big.
Boy, how cute.
You're going heavy with
Hilda,
cuties
thank
today.
you for being here.
Born a present.
Really?
Oh.
What kind of present?
Kinda like a pink present.
Oh, pink presents.
Oh,
Oh, they're the best.
Like mine orange.
Oh, orange.
Go get it. Go get it.
She will.
Hey, Jet, keep Lauren on. I didn't know she was going to be there. Keep her on so she can share something a little later.
Oh, they're running out. They're gonna go get some presents for me, I think, and maybe for them. And get out.
I'm a size 10, Jet. Size 10.
Perfect. I'll let her know. But she did help me with some tutoring the other day with one of my students who speaks Spanish. So I had with some algebra stuff. So I said, I know what X is in Spanish. I'm like, what's Y in Spanish? And she turned to me, told me what it was, and then went back to her work right away. So it was good.
Wow.
Oh my God, she must go to Pendergast. That's all I can say. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, what time? 9:01. Are we ready, Carrie, or?
Yeah, we got like one more minute. I'm gonna wait just
Okay,
for those getting on Facebook, but I think we've got everybody here.
perfect.
Carrie, I like the antlers. Those are nice. I like them.
Those are
Jasmine
good.
had hers on, so I put mine on.
Oh, leave them on. You look cute.
Oh, I thank you. Okay.
Those are darling.
And the holiday spirit, they match my stocking.
There you go.
Two of my cats got a hold of mine yesterday and they were walking around with it. So, okay. Happy as could be.
I bet. Yeah, Nikki thinks mine are his, but I let him know.
Okay, Carrie, do you want to do roll call?
Absolutely. Martin Casada,
Here.
Jose Arenas,
Here.
Hilda Ortega Rosales,
Here.
Jet White,
Here.
Susan Theron.
Here.
There being 5 members, there is a quorum.
I'll call the special board retreat of December 12th, 2020 to order. As a reminder, please mute your microphones when others are speaking and unmute when it's your turn. This will help with any background noise. And welcome to everyone joining us on Facebook Live to view our meeting. Effective immediately and until further notice, the Pendergast School District Governing Board will be enforcing the Center for Disease Control guidance to limit all public gatherings to 10 people. As such, this meeting will be held telephonically with no public in-person attendance. There will be no call to the public, and this is referenced by Arizona Attorney General's opinion dated March 13th, 2020, regarding Arizona's open meeting law and COVID-19. Again, welcome everyone to the board retreat. For those of you on Facebook, thank you for taking time out of your weekend to join us. I hope you enjoy the presentations. I also want to thank Dr. DeBlue and the cabinet for presenting to the board today. I've looked the presentations over and they are wonderful, and I know a lot of hard work went into them. Thank you for updating the board on what's going on in the district. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And now, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion. Okay, Jet made a motion, I'll second. Any discussion? Carrie, roll call vote.
Martin Cazada,
Yes.
Jose Arenas,
Yes.
Hilda Ortega Rosales,
Yes.
Jet White,
Yes.
Susan Sarin.
Yes,
There being 5 in favor, the motion carries.
thank you. Dr. DeBlue, it's all yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, students, and members of Facebook and the community. We're excited to be here with you today to review a couple of items and give you the state of Pendergast as far as finances, assessments, ed services, human resources go. But first, we have a surprise for all of you today. We have what we live for, which is our students. And they got up bright and early just to be with you today and have a message for you. So please help me give a warm Pendergast welcome to Hannah, Sabrina, Victor, and Jasmine. So good to have you. I'm so glad that you got up today, took a shower, dressed up, and even combed your hair, Jasmine, to be with us this morning. So we're thrilled to have you, and I understand you have a message for us. And let's see, I just wrote 4 names at random, so I'll call on you so that you can give us your special message today. And we'll start with Hannah.
Hello, I'm Hannah. I went to Canyon Breeze from kindergarten through 8th grade, and then I was in the very first 8th grade superintendent student council in 2014, 2015. So Pendergast was amazing. I loved going there for all 9 years that I did. It helped me find a lot of my passions. I started doing theater through there. I started photography, and those are all things that I still do to this day. I'm currently in my sophomore year at Northern Arizona University. I'm studying microbiology. I absolutely love it. And yeah, Pendergast helped instill in me a lot of those, passions that I have for education and everything else. Yeah, so I love it. And my time in the Superintendent Student Council was absolutely amazing. I was fortunate enough to get to go to Harvard with Dr. DeBlue and Miss Sarin and one of the other members. And that is still a dream of mine. I hope to go to medical school at Harvard. It's a gorgeous campus and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I never would have known that or had that dream if it weren't for the Superintendent Student Council. So thank you.
Wow, Hannah, we are so proud of you. And honestly, sometimes I hardly recognize you because you're a grown up now. So I kind of have to look at the pictures and go, who is that? But thank you for joining us this morning. We are so, so proud of you. Thank you for being involved. And by the way, Hannah, you didn't tell us about your business. That's big.
That's true. Yes. When I'm home over summer breaks and winter breaks, I do have a small side business called Life is Sweet. I make macaroons and other classic cookies and some other fun treats, and I sell those on the side. So it's been a really fun little side business that I've been growing over the past couple of months.
And what happened with the Glendale Chamber this week? Did something happen?
Yes, I just became a member of the Glendale Chamber, so I'm super excited about that. I just met with them and they told me all of the amazing benefits that they offer for their members. So I'm very excited. I just joined them and I got my Peoria small business license and everything else. So it's very exciting. I'm very excited to join them.
Awesome. We're so proud of you. And for those of you watching, this is the product of Pendergast School District. So thank you, Hannah. We love you. We believe in you.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's see. Sabrina, where are you? Talk to us.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I also went to Canyon Breeze, except I was part of the third cohort, I believe, 2016-17. I was so very lucky and very grateful to be a part of the council. It had many lasting effects on me. Me and Victor met. We are still friends. We I was definitely lucky because I had to be able to step into the part of a leader, and I was very unsure of myself and I didn't know if I could do it. But here we are. I am currently student body treasurer at Westview High School. I am very lucky. I love my entire student government. I'm very happy with them. And then I thought I would share with you guys, since I just found out yesterday, that I was accepted into the University of Portland with the President's Scholarship, and I was very happy, and I definitely think everyone here helped me get there. So yeah, thank you.
Wow, awesome, Sabrina. Thank you so much. We're so proud of you too. You're so accomplished yourself. But you know, Sabrina did a presentation, I forget what day it was, yesterday. Or what did we do in the council?
Yes, me and Victor just met with the council. I think it was Thursday. It was Thursday afternoon, and we did a presentation on leadership and what we have learned being leadership roles at our schools. We thought we would share some of our experiences and tips and advice with the council of this year.
Awesome. And they did an amazing job. As a matter of fact, had this agenda not been ready, they would have been the leadership portion of the presentation. But thank you, Sabrina. We're so, so proud of you. Thank you for joining us. Where's Victor? My Bisbee boy. There you are, Victor.
Hello, everyone. So good morning, members of the board, cabinet, people on Facebook. My name is Victor, and I was also part of the 2016-2017 Superintendent's Council. I all went to Villa de Paz. And so being part of Pendergast has really done a lot to me. Prior to my 7th, 8th grade year, I was a very shy kid. I would never participate in anything. I was always in the back of class, just doing my work and going back home because that's just what I thought was school. I didn't know there was all these other things to it. But I was very lucky to be chosen to be part of the 8th grade council. I know now things are a little bit different. Students have to actually apply and stuff. But my year was the last year where the teachers and staff would choose you. And that to me, I just feel very lucky because if I had the choice to go out and interview for it, I probably wouldn't have done it. So I'm just very thankful that I was able to have that year and have my teachers choose me. So being part of that, I have a lot of teachers who actually believe in.
Victor, you need to unmute, please. Oh,
sorry. No, yeah, sorry. So yeah, I was very lucky to have them choose me. And then being part of the council, I've met so many lifelong friends like Sabrina, being one of them. I also have other ones that I keep in touch with like Samantha and Noah, and there's just so much more. But yeah, I was able to break out of my shell in a way. And here I am 4 years later. I am also part of the student body at Westview. I'm the student body president over there, which is something that I've always, I guess, dreamed of doing. And it was all possible due to Dr. DeBlue and Carrie and Ray and everyone that helped me break out of my shell and do all these huge things. So I'm currently still applying to colleges. I haven't made a decision yet, but I do know that I want to go into teaching and help out other students and break out of their shells. So it's all thanks to Pendergast.
well, we're excited, and remember, there's no other district you want to work at when you get that degree. So you make sure you come look for us. We're so proud of you. You have come a long way. I mean, we've just seen you grow. So thank you for joining us. We're so excited you're here. And I know you're packing and going to Bisbee without me, but thank you for still taking time to be here with us today.
Thank you guys so much.
You bet. And we have one more. Where is our Grinch? I mean Jasmine.
Hello, governing board. Good morning, Dr. DeBlue. My name is Jasmine Elizabeth Willis. I go to school at Sunset Ridge. I'm in 2nd grade. What I enjoy about school right now is that I get to stay in my own bubble and I get to stay in my room. Thank you.
Oh, you get to stay in your room? Now tell us one thing, your favorite thing about Pendergast.
My favorite thing about Pendergast is because I get to see a lot of students and I get to talk to them.
Oh, now do you think you're going to apply to be on the 8th grade superintendent council someday?
Yes.
Why?
I think it's because I don't really know.
No. Okay, you said privilege, I think. Anyway, you're a brilliant kiddo. Y yo sé que tú hablas español. So thank you for joining us. She's another one of our dual language kiddos. And oh my goodness, this is what we're all about. So whenever we start a meeting, this is the best way to do it. We have former students, current students. They come back and join us for meetings, and can it get any better than that? Now, you know that we are the district of choice when students get up early to be on a board retreat. So that's amazing. Guys, remember, we love you. We believe in you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us this morning. You're welcome to stay for the retreat. But if you need to leave, we understand. I know Hannah has a business to run. So thank you so much. We love you and have a beautiful day.
Thank you, Hannah, Jasmine, Sabrina, and Victor. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today and letting us know about your experiences in the district. That is so important to us. We love the feedback. And to all of you, good luck in the future. And I know all of your dreams are going to come true because you are true leaders. Again, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And next on the agenda, Ms. Fembres, you're going to give us an update on the financials.
Good morning.
Madam President. I'm sorry, Madam President?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. If I could give a quick summary of today first.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. So Madam President, members of the board, members of the community, cabinet, and those on Facebook, and to our students who left. Just a quick summary of what we're going to be doing today, and then I'll give an update at the end as well. But we're excited to present to you the state of Pendergast. We're going to start with finance and COVID successes, enrollment, the stability grant you've been hearing about forever and ever, and Prop 208. I know everybody has a lot of questions, including us. From there, we'll move to human resources on the successes they've had, and Prop 207. So you know that's controversial, but it's coming up and we're dealing with it. And so our chief HR is going to give you some great information on that. From there, we'll move to the heart of our district, which is at services with Dr. Cruz. Lots of information on that concerning the distance learning, how are we going to reopen, when we reopen, et cetera. And then I'll give you a superintendent's update with the latest COVID information, and then another special little surprise for you at the end. So lots of information today. We tried to get as much as possible in the 3 hours that we have today, but I'm sure that the information will be amazing for you. Our team has worked hard to put all this together and condense it for you. I mean, we've laughed, we've cried, we've worked. Putting all this together, it's been fun. So thank you for the opportunity. And with that, Madam President, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Fembres, would you like to start off?
Good morning, Madam President, esteemed board members, Dr. DeBlue, members of cabinet, and members of our community. This morning, we are going to go ahead and go over the finance and operational side of things. So let me go ahead and share my screen here with you. Okay, so as we get started, Oh, goodness. And now it's not changing for me. Okay, there we go. So the discussion items we have this morning are, we will take a look at our COVID update, the department successes, our Prop 208, student enrollment, and the enrollment stability grant. Okay, I want to go ahead and start off by stating that over the past 9 months with the COVID pandemic, the directors of the departments that I oversee, they have done a phenomenal job in working through all that we have encountered in the past 9 months. And their staff members have been diligent in making sure that the work that needs to be completed and the projects that we had before us were all taken care of. So they have done a phenomenal job. I wanted to go ahead and start off by applauding them and recognizing them. So on the finance side of things, as we announced the closure of schools, the finance team successfully processed payroll accounting changes because we knew that with the COVID pandemic, there were going to be some transitions in the roles that some people played. So they moved right into that. We did implement a payroll time code for the COVID related hours so that we could go ahead and keep track of those hours. Work schedules were created so that we could keep our staff safe, and we created schedules that would allow them to work remotely, but then also had minimum amount of hours in the office. Process did not slow down during this time period, so we are very happy to announce that. And of course, we worked closely with the school sites and the parents, because as schools were closed, of course, there were a number of conversations and communication items that needed to be had with the school sites, as well as our families. And we did set up a new accounting structure to allow for the easy tracking of our COVID expenditures, because we knew we had some COVID grants under the CARES Act coming. We did implement safety protocols within all of our offices during this closure, and we continue to keep everybody safe. And our finance office did work closely in applying for the CARES Act grants. We had the ESG grant, the ESSER grant, and then we also applied for the FEMA and benefited from that as well. We did successfully implement virtual processes that allowed our employees to work remotely and maintain the continuity of processes. So things did not, we did not have a lapse in any of the processes that we have. So we did implement some e-signatures, e-document verification, that type of thing. We did successfully implement the virtual training of both our payroll, for payroll and student activities. So we did work with our school sites in regards to making sure that things kept moving as we started the new school year. And of course, as every year, we do have our annual audit, and that was actually conducted virtually. And we also obviously created our FY21 budget virtually. As you know, with vacancies that were approved for hiring, we did hire a few positions virtually, which is different because normally the interview process is conducted in person. And we successfully closed out 2 years. So we balanced 2 years virtually, and we're very proud to say that we were able to get things going and close out the year working with all the departments and school sites to do that. We did implement a new timesheet tracking process because of course not everybody was able to access our Kronos time card system. So we did roll out some timesheet processes that would allow those who were working remotely to still claim and account for their time. And of course, during the process, all of our team has done a great work in keeping that morale up, keeping that culture up, and having a positive work environment due to all the foreseen items that we've had with this pandemic. With the food service department, obviously we know that from the moment that we announced school closures, the food service department, as well as our transportation department, they moved into action in making sure that our communities were taken care of. So they immediately began working out the process of the grab and go and the bus routes for meal distribution. So even though we closed our campuses, and that was announced on March 13th, on Monday the 16th and Tuesday the 17th, we had grab and go meals available for our students, and we had bus routes going on Tuesday, March 17th. So our teams were quick to action in making sure that our students were taken care of and fed. They were able to create a plan quickly, which we were then not affected by any of the shortages that some of the supply chains had for food. And so we were very proud to know that we did not we were not impacted by the shortages that were encountered in the spring that other districts did encounter with regards to getting their food supplies. Services have continued at all the sites during quarantines and building closures over the past 9 months. We were able to implement Saturday meals on May 2nd. And so what that means is that Saturday meals are then provided to our students on Friday. So on Friday, when they're picking up their meals, they're also receiving meals for Saturday. And we're very proud of that. And of course, our food service program is providing meals during the school breaks. So as we know, this past Thanksgiving break, our food service program did provide meals that took care of the holiday break as well. And the same will be true with our upcoming winter break. We are proud to say that over the period of March 16th through October 31st, meals that have been provided have been over 1.1 meals have been provided. And I did get an update on that number. So to date, that number is now 1,350,909. So we're very happy and very proud to say that we have offered that many meals to our students over this 9-month period while we are all working remotely and we have distance learning. Taking a look at our maintenance and operations department. The maintenance and operations department, they have completed 40 bond, capital, and safety projects over the span of the final portion of fiscal year 20 and thus far into fiscal year 21. We've had 6 roofing projects, 3 parking lot resurfacing and striping projects, as well as shade structures and exterior painting projects that have been completed. And of course, these projects are, we have continuing projects that we're in the midst of doing right now with bathroom renovations. And so we're very happy with the movement and the progress that has been made with all the work that that department has been doing. We were able to implement the Safe Schools online training system for all district staff. And that is an online safety training course that can be taken at any time, whether it's in the office, whether it's working at home remotely. And the annual safety and compliance training was completed via Safe Schools online training. So we are very happy that we were able to roll that out and be able to still keep things going and maintain the compliance training that is needed. So taking a look at the Trust COVID coverage, we know that that was something that we brought to you in August. And actually that was covered in the August 4th governing board meeting. So when it comes to the trust liability coverage that we have, that basically was a discussion with regards to the trust in being able to have coverage through the trust. Again, this is a unique situation. No one expected the COVID pandemic, but the trust then went to their board, and on August 4th, they approved the liability coverage, which allowed for a waiver form and an acknowledgement form that the school districts could then offer. As long as our district signed the agreement, in which we did, that would then allow us to roll out the waivers and the acknowledgement forms. And should there be any claims brought against our district, the trust then would then have that coverage for us. And of course, if any claims were filed with waivers, there would not be any expense on those claims. And then with an acknowledgement form, there would be a much larger expense on that. And of course, if we didn't have waivers or acknowledgement forms, obviously there wouldn't be any coverage. So the claim would be obviously much, much higher. Continuing with the maintenance and operations, the successful completion of the safety protocols and requirements due to COVID-19. So our maintenance team enacted and created cleaning plans for our custodial staff. They installed safety barriers at all of our front office locations, and they created and purchased signage for all of our school sites. So when we do get to the point of coming back onto our sites, there are banners, posters, and social distancing markers that are on our campuses and ready for when that date actually comes. They did update and take care of replacing the emergency classroom guides in each of our classrooms, and they work closely with Pierce Energy Consulting to monitor the district's energy, water, and natural gas programs. And we are very happy to say that we have had a cost savings of a little over $207,000 in utilities for fiscal 20. So very proud of the cost savings that we've had and the work that has been done on the energy savings there. Taking a look at our information technology department. The IT department, they completed the laptop deployment to all of our teachers and admin staff. They installed voice routers that can handle the incoming and outgoing phone calls district-wide. We did have the completion of our Via DePause camera project and repaired and distributed students and staff devices with the school closure. So we know that that in itself was a large project, working closely with the Ed Services Department. And at this time, while we're working remotely, the IT department has provided appointments for any staff who have needed technology support in person. And IT has continued to conduct the work of configuring and deploying the hotspots for student support. So working with Ed Services, they have provided the configuration of those hotspots so that we have the internet connectivity for those families. We did provide cell phones to our school secretaries because they were working remotely, or they are working remotely. We did provide cell phones to them so that they could then continue to take those front office phone calls. And of course, with Ed Services, the IT department did work closely on the implementation of the Talent LMS software that they did bring in over the past couple months. And of course, the district, as we know, managing Zoom, that is now our big thing right now, is having meetings via Zoom. So IT was instrumental in making sure that we had the Zoom accounts and that they are safe for all of our teachers and students to conduct their instruction. And of course, as we know, with cybersecurity, that is a hot topic at this time. And so they did install new cybersecurity backup system to protect our data. IT has also implemented and installed the web-based password reset for our librarians and our site administrators, and GoGuardian. That is another important thing for web filtering for our students on the Chromebooks. They successfully set up the filtering needed for that. They have been instrumental in helping with the Verizon Cohort 8 Learning Grant, and they did implement and transition, obviously, what we're doing today, our governing board meetings, virtually Zoom format for these meetings. Taking a look at our purchasing and warehouse. Purchasing and warehouse, they have been very busy from day one of the school closure with respects to receiving the PPE that has come in, whether it's PPE that we have ordered or PPE that has been via donation from various organizations that has been gracious in providing the PPE that we have needed and will need when we do come back in person. Of course, with respects to the PPE that has been ordered, we have been diligent in making sure that we are good fiscal stewards, and we are obtaining quotes and proposals and making sure that we're getting good pricing for the PPE that is needed so that we have that in inventory and we're ready for any orders that come into the warehouse. And of course, the team has always been flexible with regards to assisting with the ever-changing items that are due to the pandemic. Taking a look at transportation, as I mentioned before, they were instrumental in moving quickly in making sure that the bus routes, instead of transporting students, they were transporting meals, and they continue to transport those meals. And that began on Tuesday after we announced the school closure. So our staff is very happy to be out there delivering meals to our students at the bus stops. They, of course, have also delivered meals to our McKinney-Vento students door to door. We did have the assistance in the spring with an outsourced service taking care of that. They did create custom zones in the spring for our ESS student meal deliveries, and they were instrumental in getting those meals out to those students. And of course, the transportation staff in the spring, they also delivered instructional packets along with those meals directly to the homes of our ESS students. And we did, in the spring, have to close our maintenance and transportation building. And so during that time, we're very proud of the fact that our Pendergast family, they stepped up, and we actually had teachers and school support staff that during the time that our transportation team was not able to work, transportation was able to transition within a 24-hour period and have staff members, teachers and school support staff come in and deliver those meals while our drivers were not able to do that. So we're very proud of that, proud of the support, and thankful for the support that our Pendergast family has in taking care of our students. And as always, each of our departments, they've always practiced safety precautions with regards to social distancing at all times, obviously wearing their masks, limiting time, within their boundaries, making sure that they're distancing themselves, whether they're in the break room or out delivering meals as well. So transitioning from the great work that our departments have done, we're now taking a look at Prop 208. We know that this past November, our voters have approved Prop 208, and that is the Invest in Education grant. That is a 3.5% surcharge on taxable income of over $250,000 for individuals and $500,000 for individuals filing a joint tax return. Prop 208 is a funding program that will provide 50% to our certified staff members. So the salaries, that's hiring and raising or increasing the salaries for our teachers, including counselors and nurses. 25% would then go to the hiring and increasing of salaries for our student support staff, including instructional aides, as well as our bus drivers. 12% would go to career and technical education programs, and 10% would be dedicated to the retention and mentoring of our teachers. And then the final 3% is going towards scholarships for the Arizona Teachers Academy, which waives college tuition for teachers in training who have committed to working in Arizona schools after they graduate. Tax collection itself for Prop 208 will begin in January of 2021. And it is anticipated that districts will likely begin to see the funds in spring of 2022. Now, when it comes to Pendergast under Prop 208, the breakdown of those percentages, what Pendergast would then see is the 50%, the 25%, and the 10%. So we know that under Prop 208, we would receive funding for the hiring and increasing of salaries for our teachers and certified employees, as well as the hiring and increasing of salaries for our support staff. And also the 10% helping to retain and mentor our teachers. So we know that much of the discussion and information that has been out there, there are a number of lawsuits for Prop 208. Obviously, the alphabet organizations have been discussing this closely. And of course, there's great optimism in making sure that we're educating our voters and making sure that those that did vote for Prop 208, that they do understand that, they did vote on something that does support our school districts, and making sure that they're educated with regards to what their vote meant and what the lawsuits themselves mean. I'm still getting information with regards to the fact that the funding itself, there has been a number of questions about that, but even as much as the information is coming in, the meeting that I took part in yesterday, they're still talking about the funding they're still looking at it coming in the spring of 2022. So even though I have the information here, that information has not changed. The discussion, even as late as yesterday, is still stating that they're looking at this closely, much like Prop 301 and how we receive our funding in Prop 301. They're looking that Prop 208 would still be treated such as that, and we would receive funding in that manner as well. Moving on to enrollment and attendance. Taking a look at our enrollment, we're looking at day 1, our fiscal 21, day 10, 40th day, and then a point in time, I did take December 1st as that point in time for our enrollment. So you can see on our first day of school, we had enrollment of 8,184. Day 10, we had 8,265. Our 40th day, 8,115, and then on December 1st, we had 8,094 enrolled within our district. Now, when we're looking at attendance, that's average daily attendance that we are looking at. On the first day of school, you can see the 7,095. We did increase day 10, 7,424. 40th day, we had 7,528. And then, of course, on December 31st, 7,932 in attendance. Here is a breakdown of school by school, taking a look at our enrollment on the left and our attendance on the right. So you can see the enrollment at each of our campuses and then the attendance that we have. And this, of course, is a point in time, December 1st being the date that we are looking at with regards to our enrollment and our attendance. And this slide here is taking a look at the school facilities board and what they're stating our school capacity is for each of our sites. And again, looking at December 1st and our enrollment on that date. So you can see that based upon our enrollment and what our school capacity is based on the SFB, what our available capacity is based on those numbers at each of our school sites. So you can see the range, with Westwind being our largest. We do have at this moment in time school capacity at 11 of our campuses, and Westwind has always done a great job in taking care of our students and making sure that they are well equipped on their campus. Now, again, fiscal year 22, looking forward. We know that we have underlying variables, and as always, we always look at the progression of our grade levels of our currently enrolled students. Going into 22, we will look at enrollment from our new developments. We know that we do have developments around our community within our boundaries of homes and apartments. We do know that we have been affected by COVID-19, and so we have to take a look at, are we going to have increased enrollment due to resuming in-class instruction? We have to be mindful of students coming back to us, whether they are currently enrolled with us now, whether they are enrolled in other forms of education, but we want to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse of what is out there, ensuring that we know of who is going to come to us in 22. Hopefully, with the COVID pandemic, we will start to see students coming back to us in the new school year. And from the new developments, we will have an increased enrollment from those new developments in the homes and the apartments as those become occupied. Moving on to the enrollment stabilization grant. The funds were approved through the coronavirus relief fund. We did receive our award letter on November 25th. The award that we have received is $3,896,179. And the grant performance period is March 1st through December 30th. So this ESG grant is a short-term grant. And although we were awarded on November 25th, our finance team is moving quickly to take care of the expenditures that we have coded to COVID and getting that moved into our ESG grant. So that in turn would then mean that would free up our maintenance and operation funds. Because as I mentioned earlier, the finance team has implemented COVID accounting structure that has allowed us over the course of the past 9 months to code things appropriately so that we know that under the ESG, we would then be able to move that into that grant once we knew that we were awarded that and what that amount was going to be. Now, of course, we are not going back into fiscal year 20. So we are looking at expenditures in fiscal year 21 because we did not want this to cross 2 fiscal years. And so the finance team has been successful. They have tracked everything, and we are in the midst of doing those journal entries to move expenditures between the grant and our maintenance and operation funding. So we are very excited about that. We will have the reporting taken care of and have that sent off before we go to the winter break. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fembrace. Excellent information. Are there questions from the board? Hi,
Madam
Martine.
President?
Go ahead. Yes. Martine?
You want me to go or you want Jose to go?
Martine first, and then I'll get Jose.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fimbres, for that presentation. Just a couple of questions. I guess going backwards, but that 3.9 million in the enrollment stabilization grant, do we expect that we will be able to utilize all of that and free up that money from our M&O? In time,
yeah.
Because I know it's limited time. Okay.
Yes, it is a limited
that's
time,
great.
right? Of course, because the period is March 1st to December 30th, we are looking at, really, truly, in all honesty, we're looking at July 1 to current date.
Okay.
And so with the amount that we're receiving, just under the 3.9 million, we have designated expenditures that will be able to consume it. And basically we would need to basically have the expenses and use all of it, because any portion that is not used, we then lose it, and we don't want to lose it. So we do have everything accounted for. So of the 3.896 that we're receiving, it is accounted for. And we're very fortunate that we have been able to map out not only staffing, but also supply and service side expenditures as well. So we
Okay.
do have everything mapped out, and we do have it accounted for, yes.
Okay, no, that's great news. I didn't expect any less. Back a few slides to the enrollment and attendance. I noticed that, you know, enrollment was obviously kind of trending downwards, but the attendance, the random day that you picked trended upwards. And so I was wondering if that trend upwards in attendance was reflective of, in general, of our whole district. And if so, that's great. And what do we attribute that to? How are we making that attendance climb that way?
Madam President, Senator Quesada, so you're looking at the enrollment and you're asking about the attendance. So I can go back to the slide if need be, but the enrollment, and we're looking at a point in time on December 1st. On December 1st, we had 8,094 enrolled. And attendance on that date, we had 7,932. Is that what you're referring to? Am I understanding your question correctly?
Let me see if I can find the slide here for you. It's I think it was page 18 of your.
I can go back into the presentation and bring it back up. Let me share the presentation one more time.
Madam President, Senator Quesada, if I might, I think that part of the thing that's happening with attendance is that Dr. DeBlue was very specific that she was requesting principals and schools and teachers to reach out to students that were not in attendance and get our students in school. And so over time, our team has also been able to get more families internet connectivity. And so what I think you are seeing is kind of that partnership with our families, our teachers, our hardworking principals, the crew that's been getting internet access to families, and just our insistence that every student has to be in school. Also, December 1st was a day that we were conducting assessments, and we're going to find you because we have to get to our test percentage rate as a practice for AZM2. So I think that what you're noticing, those upward trends, we started publicly posting ADM, and our principals are very competitive, that positive in a positive way. And so I think that was also helpful. So I think that all kind of contributes.
No, thank you, Dr. Cruz. That's actually exactly what I was looking for, because I really wanted to highlight, I think what I thought that showed is exactly what you explained, is the hard work of Dr. DeBlue and our principals and the hotspots and everything that we're doing to get our kids who are enrolled to actually attend. And what I'm seeing is a really, really positive trend there. And what I'm seeing is really spectacular work in terms of what you guys have done. So I just wanted to make sure that what I was seeing was accurate, and it appears that it is. So thank you, Dr. Cruz. Thank you, Ms. Fimbres, for pointing that out. Just one more question kind of in relation to that, and then I'll let Mr. Arenas go. But in terms of those hotspots, do we have any types of numbers of how many we put out there? And I know that there are some delays in terms of like when people make requests for hotspots and when we are able to get them to them, and what do those delays look like, and what is the need still for those hotspots?
Sure, Madam President, Senator Quesada. Right now, and gosh, you all know Amy Christopher, who has just been working like a mad woman to get these out to our families. We have approximately it looks like about 250-ish hotspots that are out right now. And then we've got families that are also participating in the Cox Internet Payment Program. We have very few families in the Cox Internet Payment Program, only because Cox has rejected most of our families for either outstanding bills or not being in an appropriate service area. So it's been extraordinarily difficult for us to get our families qualified through Cox. So we have been moving most of our families over, into kind of a Wi-Fi hotspot scenario. We've just found that to be more effective. So in fact, we just got another set of 100 Wi-Fi hotspots. We finished getting the Westwind community connected. So everyone in Westwind is now connected that needed one. We also have this really interesting, and I haven't seen this gadget yet, but through our partnership with Valley of the Sun and Westside Impact, we're getting this briefcase that emits a Wi-Fi signal, and we can place, we can put it on a bus, and you can, take this briefcase wherever you want Wi-Fi. So what we're trying to figure out is if there's an apartment complex where we need to park one of our vehicles during the school day, or if perhaps one of the trailer park, if we can get that management office to work with us to allow us to put this Wi-Fi, it's like the nuclear football, except it's a whole bunch of awesomeness instead of death and destruction, into that location, so that we can then get some of those Wi-Fi hotspots back and then push those hotspots into like homes or like other, pockets where we don't have like concentrated families living. So we're making these constant adjustments to the Wi-Fi hotspot. We should have taken care of the wait list though at this point. But Amy can actually put in, we can review updated numbers for you all so that you have everything. But at this point, we should have everybody covered that was on our wait list. Isabel has been making personal appointments with everyone and passing them out, configuring and everything. She's a rock star. Amy, Christopher, and Isabel have been like internet heroes. If you ever see them, they definitely, get props for their hard work for internet connectivity. They know more about the internet than I think they ever wanted to.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Cruz. And I think that's great about the hotspots, because I know, I know I've talked with Dr. Blue about that just the other day. I know, some families are, they get upset a little bit when there's a delay in that, but it sounds like we have the capability to get that out. It's just, people are going to have to be patient a little bit for us to get it out there to them, but we have the capability to do that. And that is disappointing about Cox. I was expecting that was going to be a much more beneficial partnership for our community, but it doesn't sound like it really is. But as long as we're taking care of our communities, I'm happy. So thank you, Dr. Cruz.
Thank you, Martine. Jose?
Well, I think in the spirit of time, thank you, Senator Casada, because you did actually address a couple of the questions I had as well, sir. And that had to do specifically with hotspots, laptops, the number. I'm not a big data, I'm a data person to a point, but really the summative information you provided, Dr. Cruz, is right on. So yeah, we could get some numbers in the near future, but I think I see the effort that you're working on. But along the same line, I have again, kind of a similar question with respect to our meal distribution, Ms. Fimbres. I know that as recent as a few hours ago, maybe a few days ago, there may have to be some reconfiguring in the delivery because of what's happening in our world, and I get that, respect that. But with that said, you said numbers. You provided us numbers of meals, I think close to 1.8 or so, 1.7. But nonetheless, what I kind of wanted to get an idea of is in terms of the efficacy of how that's working with respect to delivery of meals, because I know sometimes the whole recalibration of or replanning of Fridays for Saturdays is really big for our families. I really love that effort. So don't know if I guess I'm really haven't asked a question, except that I'm sensitive to the fact that we're working hard, you're working hard, your department's working hard and getting meals to our families. So I guess that's more of a statement. So thank you. The only other question I had is that or just as more clarification, and again, you're the procurement person, you're the finance guru, Ms. Fimbres, nothing but respect for you. You mentioned in your last slide that really what we're looking at is that we could, as long as we encumber that money by December 30th, that ESG monies can basically take care of some of the M&O expenses by recoding journal entries, but we could still, I don't want to say like go shopping all of a sudden, right? But certainly if we encumber some expenses by December 30th, we're okay, right? We're in compliance, or not necessarily? That's my only question.
Madam President, Member Arenas, the expense has to be made, not necessarily encumbered. We have to fully expense it. We have to have the payment on the books in order to be able to claim the enrollment stability grant funds. So we can't have a PO out there holding the funds. We have to truly have the expenditure.
Gotcha.
And so we are thankful that with our coding, we have been able to designate
Okay.
the 3.9 million in expenditures.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just kind of looking ahead. I know that when I say ahead, God willing, these next few months, I know we're still getting through this, but we're going to need. So, okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your answer. Beautiful background, by the way. Is that your background? Is that your home? I shouldn't look that sharp.
It is a beautiful background from the internet. It is a Zoom background.
Okay. Right. All right. Thank you. I was looking for my present underneath that tree and I couldn't find it. But anyway. Thank you.
It's right there. It's right there. Can you see it?
Yeah. Other questions? Mr. White?
Thank you, Madam President. Just going back to the ESG, I know that there were some, or I've seen some concerns in other places about, and if I'm mistaken, please let me know, obviously, about the money received versus the money projected for the 98% or for the 40th day. So for those monies, like, is that in the ballpark of what we expected to receive?
Madam President, Member White. So when it comes to the enrollment stability grant, there was a lot of discussion with regards to the formula in trying to account for and basically estimating and projecting what districts were going to receive. And they did provide, for the most part, a formula that we could project what that number was going to be. Well, with the award letters coming out, yes, there has been discussion by many districts that has stated that it's lower than what was to be provided to each of the schools. I did take a look at that for our district, and although it is a bit lower than what we originally expected in the original formula that they were stating, of course we can always use more, but seeing as the governor reduced that amount a bit, I'm appreciative of the amount that we did receive. And I will leave it at that, because some districts were impacted much greater than what we were. And so I'm very appreciative of the amount that we did receive.
Thank you. I know that $3.5 million is nothing to sneeze at, but 4 or 5 is even better. And then I guess this is more, I don't know. Yeah. So I guess I'm just curious about going back to the attendance too. And it might get out into the weeds a little bit about, do we know for students that are enrolled but never come, I am sure that we can chalk that up to some 10-day drops, which kind of just are unaccounted for. They just don't show up. Maybe they moved, maybe they went to a different school. We don't really know. But I guess, do we know, whether they're legitimate withdrawals, whether they've just never shown up? Hopefully they're contacting our schools for prior records. But I guess I'm just curious about, have these students, and I hate to use the word missing because that sounds like really scary, right? But have these students gone missing and unaccounted for, or are they ending up in other schools somewhere else?
Yeah, Madam President, Mr. White, it's a great question. It's kind of the $64,000 question, right? Where are our students? Not just for us, right, but for school districts across the state and the country. The students who we are most concerned about are students who have never walked through the door. So we have students who are missing out on their kindergarten year. We know how important early childhood education is, so we're very concerned about those students. In terms of the students who have enrolled, who obviously now are not enrolled any longer, most of those have been because of 10-day drops. I mean, just a really significant number. We can have Mr. Wallen provide a report with the enrollment codes so that you can see what those patterns are, but for the most part, it is due to absences. We're required to drop students after 10 consecutive days with no contact. So these are students for whom we've had no contact of any kind. That's with the teacher, principal, front office staff reaching out. We also have had social workers reaching out to our families that we haven't had contact with, because we're trying everything we can possibly do to get students access to school. We've also provided some hard copies of work for students for whom like there was no way that they could get internet access, or whatever the barrier was that was preventing them from being considered one of our students. We worked really hard to eliminate those barriers, but unfortunately we've had a lot of students move. Like a lot of our students have moved, and we don't know where they moved until we get that records request. And so there's such a gap between the loss of the student and then the request for records that we don't really have a good way to mediate that to try and bring that student back to the fold. I think on the flip side are some really unusual, very few success stories with students whose parents remain in residence in our Pendergast attendance area. Their family is here, but the student has been sent off to another location that the family feels is healthier and safer for the student with family, and they remain our students. Those very few, very few unusual cases, they've had fantastic attendance. We had a student in Asia for a little while, and a student had fantastic attendance, like no issues with attendance. We have a kid down the street, we can't find them. So, it's just hard right now to really nail down that attendance issue. But again, if you want to see the withdrawal codes, Mr. Wallen can absolutely provide that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Hilda?
Madam President, good morning, everyone. First of all, Ms. Fimbres, excellent presentation. Your team should definitely be commended for all of their work. And, we expect these things of our staff, but, when at the end of the day, this has been such a hardship for our staff, for them to still have the energy and the commitment and the passion to continue to serve wherever they need to be serving is a true testament to the leadership of Pendergast. The simple act of, delivering meals and stepping up to do that when our transportation team couldn't do it is truly a good example of that. And we are demonstrating that our services and our support to our community is not just about the classroom and the learning that we provide, but in today's environment of of the hunger insecurity, it is a priority as well. And so I'm very proud to be a part of this organization because of our staff. I do have a couple of questions, and it may overlap to Dr. Cruz and Ms. Fimbres. I know that you're the numbers person, that Dr. Cruz is the one that's helping to make those numbers be positive for our results. And so thank you for the teamwork that you guys provide each other. It's impressive. So, Dr. Cruz, you shared with us that we have students who have left us, just like in other districts, enrollment is down. And so are we looking at any students and families that are coming into our district? Because just like they move out, they may be coming into our district boundaries. Are they coming in? How are we reaching out to our community to say, if you're recently, moved in to our district, here's what we have to offer. Thinking from the long-term perspective, even though this may have been a hardship for our families to move from another school district, but had to move here, what do we have to offer them? And how can, after this pandemic, they decide this is a great place to send our kids to school and we keep them, right? Part of our marketing plan. How we serve them today will truly make a difference as to whether we retain them, right? And so with everything else you have to do, I'm imagining that you've already thought about that with your cabinet peers. in terms of how we're reaching out to those families. And more than likely, because of our demographics, it's families that are moving in because they have some member of our community who have said, come move here.
Mm-hmm. Well, Madam President, Mr. Ortega Rosales, it's actually a question that I'm going to pass the baton to Ms. Shafir over as well, because obviously she and
absolutely
are, handle marketing and outreach. In general, though, the nuts and bolts of it are that the majority of the registration process for a student can be completed online. So we've also shifted that way if families are uncomfortable with that face-to-face interaction. We do those set personal appointments. So for families who do wish to come in and provide us paperwork, we actually set an appointment. We had a few appointments on Friday, and then a member of the central registration team comes in and takes care of that. Social distancing, obviously, and because it's done by an appointment basis, we're able to get people processed pretty quickly and efficiently. So we are absolutely taking in new students. We continue to process open enrollments. We have quite a few open enrollments that we're still working through. So that's a really good thing. So people are hearing about the good things that are happening here in Pendergast. And you'll see, as you see the weekly enrollment reports, we do get a +2, +3. You're seeing that we do have those, ups and downs that are occurring. In terms of the outreach to students, though, I'm gonna pass the baton over to Mr. Polmeyer, Ms. Shafir. They do the majority of that work. Our team, though, is working on academy expansion. We're working on some school improvement strategies. We're working on, getting some new instructional materials, and obviously writing. We've written for some grants, with the support of our principals, so that we are going to make a big splash. Like when we're able to be back face to face, I think that people are really going to be impressed with the quality of the programming that we're providing for our students. It definitely, it already looks different than other places. And we are amping that up. So we know that we're going to be very competitive in the space. We just need to, have health conditions be such that we can all get back together again. But Ms. Shafir, Mr.
Yes,
Coleman,
Doctor. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Cruz and Ms. Shafir, Mr. Poldmeyer. Obviously, I know that you're the ones who are working on our great marketing plan. My apologies.
Madam President, Member Ortega Rosales. Yes, thank you, Dr. Cruz, for not stealing our thunder for our presentation that we'll be giving. We always appreciate that. So. We actually are going to go into detail about that during our presentation. So did you want me to discuss that now, or did you want to okay.
No, it can hold. Okay. Yeah, we can hold on that. Yeah.
Just know that we are keenly aware of that. And in central registration, we did add a number of years ago, why people are coming to Pendergast. So we have that data that we pull all the time to know that it's friends and family, exactly what you said, when they move in and say, where are your kids going? Are you happy with it? And so they hear a lot about that. The internet, when they go to research what's available, and also from realtors. So those are the 3 target markets that we look at, and we're happy to have that data because that helps us to understand the marketing when we're doing our research and our strategic planning for the marketing. But Mr. Polmeyer and I will be going into more detail during our presentation, if that's okay.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I do have one more question for Ms. Fimbers, and that's in regards to the stabilization grant. Not for you to answer today if you don't have the answer, but I'm curious, once this is all over after December 31st and we know what the actual expenditures that we had for this grant, it would be interesting to see in a pie chart of some sort how we spent that money. How much was, for staffing purposes, how much was for PPE, whatever it is that we were allowed to expend our grant on. It'd be good to see that as we move forward and for planning purposes.
Madam President, Ms. Ortega Rosales, yes, most definitely. We do have everything broken down in a spreadsheet currently basically mapping those expenditures out and accounting for all of that. But I would be more than happy to create that in a pie chart, even if you would like to see it in the spreadsheet form. However, whichever form, we can provide that. We can provide that to the board most definitely. That way you can see where that went.
Yeah. Pie chart is fine. And then secondly, on the grant, most grants do, but just to confirm, will there be an audit in terms of the allowable expenditures that were allowed, and what, will there be an audit of that from the state?
Madam President.
And in terms of coding,
Well, with the ESG grants, we do have to report all of that. We have to submit the reporting to ADE. And so along with that, I venture to say ADE will definitely take a look at that. And we'll be more than happy to answer any questions in regards to that. They have not stated that there would be an audit per se, but we do know that we have to provide the reporting to them. And obviously they'll be able to take a look at that. So we will be prepared with any questions that they may have.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a follow-up to the enrollment, and Dr. Cruz, you kind of hit upon it, the open enrollment. How can we reassure our parents that should they have to move out of the district for whatever reason, their child can continue? And I know some, you said one was in Asia, but maybe some of them don't realize that we do have the open enrollment and that they can, update their addresses. I know we'll have them sign an open enrollment form and everything. How can we get the word out a little bit more, just to reassure parents during this time that they can stay with us?
Sure. Well, Madam President, we typically send that information out in newsletters, and we keep it on our webpage that we're accepting open enrollments. We are getting open enrollment. It's part of the conversation also that we have with families if we're experiencing kind of up and down attendance, right? We try and help them problem solve what we could do to improve their attendance. And we're really working hard to get accurate addresses because our faculty, they're sending home things to the children, right? And so we're trying to make sure that things are actually getting to our students. So we've been handling that honestly, kind of on a family, person to person kind of basis, but we can definitely push more information out about open enrollment. And I do think it's important too that, with these very unusual circumstances that we have, that just shows how our principals and our teachers are working person to person, with our families to make sure that they maintain a clearly established residence in the state of Arizona. They are Arizona residents. We just have a very few families, like 2 or 3, who have sent their children to what they consider to be a safer location at this point in time. And their children will be returning again to their home base here in Pendergast when they're back.
Great, thank you. And
Ms. President?
Yes.
Madam President, members of the board and the community, if I could just piggyback on that. Martine and I had an extensive discussion on that this week because we did have a situation just as that, which I believe you're aware of as well. We will be sending out a letter prior to leaving for the holidays, just reiterating to the parents, yes, if you've moved, it's okay because we're open enrollment, and just another outreach to them because some are concerned that if they had to move due to issues with COVID or jobs, et cetera, that they may not be able to stay at our schools. And we want the public to know that's not the case. If you have moved, it's okay. We still want you here. All you have to do is fill out the open enrollment form, but we need accurate information, contact information and addresses for you. So that is something that we are going to focus on a little more with the help of our student council as well. So thank you, Martine, for those things. And we will continue the reach out. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And Ms. Fembres, on the Prop 208, when we do receive the monies, is it a certain percentage that we receive? How is that figured?
Madam President, yes, we do know that the 3 categories are what Pendergast will be eligible for, the 50%,
Right.
25%, and then the, 10%. So with respects to that, there have been some numbers that have been provided preliminary wise with respects to what we can expect. I did include that in weekend review. I can most definitely, that is the most up-to-date information that I have received, but I can include that in weekend review once again. But those are the numbers that are coming down from ADE with regards to what our district can anticipate, because what they did was they did publish those numbers for each district. And of course, those are preliminary numbers, but we can anticipate, you know, the 50%, 25 and 10% allocation. And I can most definitely provide that and we can review once again.
Yeah, no, I knew the 50, 25 and 12, but I didn't know, is it a certain percentage of our actual budget that they give us, you know, 12% over, you know, for the funds? How is it distributed? But, you know,
basically they
get the figure to give to us.
They basically look at our tax, you know, our taxes within our boundaries and look at our weighted student count. Okay. And they basically distribute that statewide. So so they are looking at our ADM and they are looking at our weighted student count with respects to calculating that.
Okay, that's what I wondered. Thank you very much. And I want to commend you and the district for all the safety precautions you have taken from the start of all this COVID. You know, when something has happened, somebody's been exposed, you've shut down the area, you've cleaned the areas, you know, you've done everything to keep our employees safe. And I really appreciate that and commend you because that is so important to keep our employees and our community safe. And I thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah, I applaud the great work that that our departments are doing. They have definitely done a wonderful job, you know, given the past 9 months and what we've encountered.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the presentation. It was excellent.
Thank you.
Moving on, Ms. Hussey, you're going to give an update on human resources.
Yes, Madam President, esteemed board members, Dr. DeBlue, cabinet members, and our community on Facebook. I'm going to take a minute here and share my screen. And I'd like to give you this update on the human resources area for the district. What I'm going to go over is, of course, some COVID information and updates, and then just a little short review of Prop 207, and then our staffing for the district. And I'll be going through our staffing process. So during COVID, so since March, and I'm going to tell you due to this past week and some recent events, we can up that number that you see on the screen by 22 people. Now, these are not positives, these are possibly exposed. So those are people who have reported to the district office. And now some of them, oh, I'm sorry, let me go back to that screen. Some of them report even though they may be working from home. So remember, this includes both on-site personnel and those working from home. And of those, 40 employees have reported a positive test. Again, this is both working from home or in the on-site. But the positive piece out of this is that because we have put out the mitigation plan and the message to employees that they need to report to us so that we can track and do our contact tracing. We've had zero spread within the workplace. So even though we may have had a positive, somebody who tests positive, that person has not infected another employee. They may have exposed other employees, which we ask the exposures to stay quarantined as well. And I think by going over and above in that way, because we are asking possibly exposed personnel to stay at home as well, that we have kept the in the workplace exposure to zero. Just since the beginning of this school year, again, increased that first number by 22. And the 26 employees, we now have 27 that have reported positive tests just since the beginning of the school year. Again, when we have a report, and I want to give kudos to my staff and specifically to Barb Aquino, who is our benefits specialist. And I would let you know that pretty much her full-time job these days is contact tracing. Once we have a report from a supervisor or an employee, she reaches out to each individual by phone, talks to them, asks the questions that we need to ask, and then she and I review with the supervisor. And we're paying close attention to the CDC rules, Maricopa County rules, Arizona Health System rules, and they are often updated weekly. So we change our contact tracing method when we get an update. And again, we have at least been able to keep our workplace spread to 0. These numbers come to us from our insurance, our medical provider. Now they're higher than the numbers I just shared with you, because this includes the spouse and dependents of those that are covered under insurance. So that's why you'll see a higher number of confirmed cases here. In addition, confirmed cases versus positive result. I just wanted to clarify that when a person does visit a physician, they can be diagnosed as a confirmed case even though a test has not been run. And that's why you'll see a difference in those numbers. It is something new since March that we've learned how to do, but we are tracking our numbers constantly and wanting to make sure that we keep all of our employees, family, and our community as safe as we can. And I think it's important to share the numbers so that we can do that and encourage employees to report to us, not to report to work if they don't feel well, and let us do the contact tracing. During this pandemic, Human Resources has been able to continue all of our services. We did our benefits enrollment and all of our webinars digitally, virtually, and then Barb does have people come in by appointment only with all protective measures in place, and she has plexiglass around her desk at this point to when they need to come in for an in-person visit. But most of what we've been doing, and I would say, 95% has been virtual. We've also continued to recruit for teachers and conduct our interviews virtually. We've participated, and our principals have participated in some virtual job fairs for this year. And we find that to be at least a good option for now when you can't meet in person. So, and we have been successful in some of our new hires coming from those venues. Again, the human resource staff are still processing all of our new hires. We had just implemented, year before last, a digital form of pushing out all the new hire forms that people need to sign, even the I-9 process, all the various new hire paperwork. We had just gone to a digital process for that. So as the pandemic became part of our world, we have been able to move forward with our new hires. We've continued with our peer meetings through Zoom, and I think I shared with you all our calendar committee met this week, and it is going very well, and I do have a lot of follow-up comments from people on feeling included, and that's important. We're also participating in employee recognition, again, virtually. Everything is a little different these days, and we're happy to recognize people as we can. And a recent new thing among the operations departments that Ms. Members enacted is another form of recognition, more peer-to-peer recognition. And that's been really uplifting for folks as we end the semester here. Again, we're monitoring absences and really the last bullet, contact tracing has become a huge part of the job, and we're happy to do that, and we're doing our best to keep our employees safe and keep exposure from the workplace. So I'll move on to Prop 207, and as you are probably aware, this proposition legalizes the possession of a small amount of marijuana, and there is a sales tax associated. Unfortunately, this part of the sales tax will not come directly to our schools. Community colleges will see some, police, fire, and also I do know that a portion of it will go to the Arizona Teachers Academy. So through that small piece of funding to the Teachers Academy, at least we may see some assistance in recruiting of new teachers as we need them. For us, in review with, of course, our attorneys, we already know there's no funding directly associated, and really for our policies and procedures, we won't need to change any. We are a drug-free workplace. Marijuana being legalized does not mean people can come to work after using. So our policies regarding drug-free workplace will remain. These are other items that the initiative, part of Prop 207, who's responsible for operating it, and the local governments and zoning and so forth. So on to staffing. As you're probably aware, we do have a governing board policy that guides our staffing, and we're always looking for the best quality to serve our educational programs. You can see the different factors that we take into consideration when we're looking for staff to fulfill the FTE. After our cabinet team and Ms. Members and all have gone through enrollment and FTE, this is what guides who we hire. Part of the process is, of course, following a guideline of our student to teacher ratios, and currently these are the ratios that we follow in our district. Our next steps when we calculate how many teachers we will need for the following year is, first we need to find out how many are staying with us for the next school year. So when we move into the spring, we're going to look at projected enrollment, and then we're going to see how many teachers we believe are either retiring, resigning, and sometimes that comes into who's been working part-time, emergency certificates, and so forth. So we'll figure out who's leaving so we know who's staying. So when we talk about a reduction in FTE during the years that we might need that, we of course look at how many students, is there a projected loss? And therefore we use those teaching ratios and come up with how many FTE we need. If we needed to conduct a reduction in force, we would work with peer and make sure that we've outlined a process using the guidelines that we have in policy, and working with our teachers to make sure that they have some input into the process. At this time, it does not appear that we would need a reduction in force for next school year, as it appears attrition would satisfy any reduction that we might need. This is an example of how we would staff site by site. And so using last year to this year, This is a particular school. I didn't include the name because it's an example, but you can see that by grade level, we see how many are enrolled in each grade level, how many sections using our averages that you've seen in the previous slides, and then coming up with how many sections would then be needed. And if you look at that far right column, it also calculates at what grade level we might need a reduction if we needed one. This screen is showing that the overall for the whole district by school, the enrollment, how many sections, and what the average class size is. And on the right side in the orange, that would be the projected for the following school year. This is going into this year, and what we would lose at each school. And we did do these reductions, and attrition did take care of it last year. And therefore we were able to balance with our budget. This is what you had seen in the last board meeting regarding the revised numbers for this school year. And as you can see, the right column, we have not determined any reductions. This is just where the difference in enrollment has affected the number of, it really affected the average overall. So our district-wide average teacher to student ratio currently is 24. So I know that we talked about that you showed an interest in getting creative with our staffing when we return to brick and mortar, and working with Educational Services Department and looking at our program needs. And I believe when Dr. Cruz goes into her part of the presentation, it may address some of that. We will use the criteria and ratios that you've just seen to determine how many sections are needed. And when we do that, sometimes at the upper grades is where we have to have our averages be a little bit lower than what our target shows. And that's because in middle school, of course, as some of you are aware that have worked in human resources and in other districts, we have to offer in a scheduling process, much like high school, your 4 content areas that we start with, and any special programming needs. And because we educate the whole child, we're also going to always include music, art, and PE. And so we'll use those ratios and determine how many FTE per site, and we hope to have that done in early February this year, mid-February. I know another question we've had is if there's virtual assignments, you know, who might be involved in virtual assignments, who would teach them? And I would say we need to know what our need is first. And so once the district meets the county and health department guidelines to return to brick and mortar, we will take a look at those needs and make the assignments based on that. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to entertain any questions or comments.
Thank you, Ms. Tussie. Are there any questions? And by the way, excellent. Thank you for updating us. And that is great that you're contact tracing. That's so important right now. It really is.
Thank you.
Questions? Martine?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I guess my question was about that contact tracing, because it seems like you know, or your slides show that we have a 0 spread whenever we have an employee who tests positive, which is fantastic. And I'm wondering, do other districts kind of have the same success rate? I don't know if that's successful, but or a way, the best term, but do other districts have the same type of success in preventing that spread? And are we doing like our own procedure that we've created ourselves, or are we following some sort of guidelines in order to prevent that 0 spread? or to keep that zero spread.
Thank you, Senator Casada and Madam President. We are following the Maricopa County guidelines for contact tracing. I'm also, both Ms. Aquino and myself are reading the CDC guidelines almost daily, and they really have changed their contact trace for quarantine anyway, a couple of weeks ago on December 8th. So let's go back to your question. I'm not sure about the other districts. I don't know that I can really respond for them. I have met with a statewide group, but I don't believe that we've shared that type of information, and I don't know that districts are. I know that they are reporting positive cases when they get one. But as far as whether it's spread or not, I would say that the only even possibility of hearing about that were some of those that had returned to in-person learning. And I'm grateful to be in Pendergast, and I believe that we are going over and above those slightly. I will tell you, part of our own process in the contact tracing is that, as it was explained, as team members have looked into different cases that we've had in the last 2 weeks, we did ask the trust about the contact tracing. For instance, I'm going to try to give you an example that's not particular to any person or department, because we are also keeping into consideration the privacy issues involved. So if we had a person who came to work and by the end of the day they weren't feeling well, and they go home and they take a test that night and they're positive, we have, as a district, said everyone that came in contact with that person is to stay home. And everyone who came in contact with those people also stay home. Mm-hmm. And in the advice that we were given, the third group that I'm talking about, who weren't necessarily around the test positive person, but they were around those other employees, that's the further step we're taking, is we decided to be overly cautious and make sure all of our employees are safe. If one of those people that initially came in contact with person A became sick on day 3 and we didn't send the third group home, then they would have all been exposed too. And so what we're doing is taking the extra measure of saying they all go home. And that way, that's how we've kept a zero spread. And that is over and above what the county would advise.
Right, and thank you, Ms. Tussey, for doing that. I think that's kind of what I wanted kind of the public to know about what we are doing here, because you know, this is an example of, I mean, we are kind of the government, right? But this is the government doing it right, you know, and making sure that that spread isn't going anywhere further than it needs to. And I think, especially because the rates are going so high in our community outside of our district, the fact that we're doing such a great job in our district is really commendable. And I think that our public should know how well we're keeping our employees and ultimately our community healthy as best we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Mr. White?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for taking this pandemic seriously and putting those extra steps in place, not only for our staff, but just for our community as a whole, seeing the numbers that come out every Thursday. Again, it seems morbid, but I look forward to those, but then I'm always disappointed in those results. I guess, so I'm super pleased and happy that we are taking it seriously. I hear from other people in the community that are pleased with it as well. I guess, guess my question's about like teacher, like morale and climate. Mm-hmm. Are we surveying our staff? Is that our site surveying staff? just about their needs being met. I know that we have, and Dr. DeBlue and I have talked about this, we have a lot of SEL support for our students and things in place. And I know we have the employee assistance for our employees. But I guess, you know, are we hearing from teachers about whether or not they're feeling supported either professionally or personally, and just how they're doing, since, you know, teaching is isolated to begin with often, right? We shut the door and we have our kids and it's great. But even more so now.
Madam President, Member White, good question. And no, we have not done surveys. I'll be really transparent about that from Human Resources. And I would just defer to my colleagues if they have done separate ones. I will tell you this. We have met with the peer group twice since the beginning of the school year. And I have had communication with the union president more often than that. I also have had different teachers from different sites reach out to me and generally ask me to relay to Dr. DeBlue how grateful they are to be in a district where they feel that they're being protected. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to thank Dr. DeBlue and the board for that. I can't speak for all teachers. I know that there are some that I may not have heard from that may feel differently, but for the ones that I have spoken with, that's the message I've been getting.
Thank you. And I think in my like professional circle, my professional PLC, if you want to call it that, I think that's the measure that we always look at is would I work for that person or would I work for that district? And I think, again, like, I'm not trying to blow smoke during this, but I think the things that we're doing answers that question in the affirmative. But I always just wonder, you know, there's folks that fester and just making sure that we know who those folks are, because oftentimes it's just the communication. And I think, again, we're doing a really good job of that. I know we'll hear that in the marketing, I'm sure, but just the text messages and the emails and the social media of just saying this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and being overly communicative, which I appreciate.
Thank you. And if I can add, you know, I would, I generally do this, and you know, Dr. DeBlue does, is let people know if you need to speak to me, you know, I'm available. And that message seems to be loud and clear. And again, I would encourage all of our employees, read the Be in the Know Monday message. We have a lot of information there for you that's supportive. And then, you know, you may have more questions after you read it, but please read it. We appreciate our teachers and all of our staff, our bus drivers, our custodians, our grounds. They're all doing an amazing job, and they haven't missed a beat since this thing started. They just jumped right in, and they've all done a really great job.
Thank you. Jet, did you have any more questions? No? Okay. Other questions? Thanks, Jet. Hilda?
Yes, Madam President, thank you very much. Ms. Tussie, I sent you a chat, so I won't repeat that, other than thank you for your leadership and that of your team. I'm just, as the rest of my peers have expressed, just very, very thankful that we are taking this virus very seriously and extending what is expected of us through the CDC. And that's very, you know, typical of what this district does, is to try to do more based on our community needs. And as we all know, our community is suffering. If you look at the data, our district is one of the hotspots in this state. And we are doing, as a district, everything we can to keep our community safe over and above what is expected of us. And I would just plead to our community to help us through this process so that we can see a light after the tunnel, because it is extremely scary. And we all need to do this as a community to be safe. And I will tell you that I don't go out very much, but when I do, um, I see when masks are being worn where required, but where it's not required or enforced, I'm sad to say that our community is not wearing those masks. And I hope that it's not typical of other places in our district, because I'm not going very many places, but simply the green belt that's adjacent to the Cardinal Stadium. I go to the green belt almost daily, and 98% of the community is not wearing a mask. And so I plead with our community, at a minimum, wear your mask, wear your mask. We will all see a change in our numbers if we embrace it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tussey, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for everything you and your staff do to keep everyone safe and spirits uplifting. And I love that you went the extra mile in shutting things down, having employees quarantine. You know, that has helped so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Happy to do it, and we'll keep doing it.
Thank you. And Dr. Cruz, you're up next. You have an update from Educational Services.
Good morning, Madam President, esteemed board members, Dr. DeBlue, members of cabinet, and our community. If we haven't met, my name is Jen Cruz. I'm the Chief Academic Officer. I do have an update for you today regarding educational services. The team would call out my poor manners if we didn't wish a happy Hanukkah to those folks who are celebrating Hanukkah, and also know that our thoughts are with the families that we know have COVID and have also lost family members to that. Our team hears about that probably the most because we do have the opportunity to work face to face with the community, and we are thinking about them right now. All right, so let me see if I can get my screen to share here. All right, can you all see that? Are we good?
Yes.
Perfect. So we're going to talk just briefly and give you an update about distance learning, our on-site support services. Some of the things that we have talked about previously in our planning to return to brick and mortar. We'll give you kind of an update on our winter assessment data and also some of our initial learning recovery planning, specifically as it relates to the work that we hope to do this summer. So you know that we had gotten together, we had brought together a number of folks over the summer to have conversations about instructional design. So what we thought worked in March in the spring semester, and what we anticipated, the shifts that we anticipated needing to make as we moved into beginning a school year through distance learning. So this is just a sample of some of the programs that the teaching faculty have had to shift into and that our students are using that support the board adopted curriculum. So one of the things that was important to the group of teachers and administrators, you know, all those folks we brought together to have the conversation about distance learning, was that we maintain as much fidelity as possible to board adopted curricular materials. We make sure that students were moving forward with grade level standards, grade level work, you know, really trying to focus on what our kids can do and make sure that we're making forward progress for our students. The teaching faculty have been remarkable really in their pivot and, you know, in their rapid adoption of new instructional strategies. We know that that's really hard on the faculty, and they've just been really remarkable in that. Our team in educational services has been working really hard to provide just-in-time support for the faculty whenever they need it. So, you know, we are all available to them for that just-in-time support and coaching. And, you know, we have heard from our customers, our internal customers, that they really appreciate that ongoing support. We are doing the programming in the way that we said that we would do it. So we do have a learning management system, even with our youngest students. And this actually involves even our preschoolers. So we're using Seesaw. We have our students experiencing instruction in about 15 to 30-minute blocks. It kind of just depends on the age of the students and their attention spans. One of the things that our primary faculty have struggled with is our youngest students jumping in and out of Zoom meetings. So, we all use probably a smartphone or some other device, like maybe a watch to keep track of the time and to get to our next appointment. We find that our kindergartners and first graders aren't very effective in time management. And so they weren't coming back to their classes on time. It's really not their fault. They don't learn time then. So what our teaching faculty have predominantly moved to is leaving their class open and on, and they're putting a big timer on the screen. And so, an alarm will go off, and the kiddos get that audio cue, please come back, for reading, or please come back for math, right? So that's how our primary faculty have made that adjustment for our students. And otherwise, I guess we'll need to do some executive management classes with our first and second graders to get them to come on, kid, right? Watch your wristwatch there. We've also pivoted to using the virtual library, Skybrary. Ms. Pennington did just a phenomenal job hustling to get us some free versions of online books so that our students are still able to check out books from the virtual library, so our students still have access to text. And also the Family Resource Center has done a remarkable job getting books and other materials out to our families. So we've been trying to work really hard with our families to get real resources into their hands. You also heard about the Lego program. So we sent out Lego kits to some of our students through some partnerships. And we've also had partnerships with organizations that have provided computers for families to keep. So as a long-term strategy to get our families connected and have them remain connected. And then of course, we've done lots of device checkout to our families as well. And you all know all about that information. So then obviously, as we move into, our through eighth graders, we're using the learning management system, Google Classroom. And one of the things that we've been working with our students there is to make sure that the students understand that they need to turn in their assignments, that this is school. So we're teaching, our students those online learning strategies. So our older students are coming off and, they are more able to go off and on and, log back into Zooms kind of throughout the day. The bigger challenge is during that asynchronous time, getting our students to turn in their assignments. Initially, we had some students, I appreciate the endless creativity of our kids, right? We had a couple of students who were trying some shenanigans with Zoom, right? We had one astute young person who tried to use their principal's name to get into a Zoom meeting. Unfortunately, they didn't spell their principal's name correctly. Bummer. We have had students do any number of, kind of things with Zoom. And so we were finally able to track down the Zoom account rep, and now we have a version of Zooms that you have to be logged into your Pendergast email account. So we can now keep a very close track of who is in which class, who should not be in classes. We're able to do some more sophisticated monitoring of IP addresses with our devices than we have been able to in the past. And so we've seen a significant decrease of those kinds of shenanigans. The next level of things to try then is your schoolwork. So what happens with your schoolwork? Because as you know, we have parent view, so parents can go in and see their students' progress in the gradebook, but also parents can go into their students' Google Classroom and you can see that big red word that says missing. Well, if you turn in your assignment with your name on your paper, but you don't do your work, the missing word goes away, and then maybe your parents don't know. So kind of our next level has been with the faculty, making sure that we're giving timely feedback to students, we're returning assignments to students, we're using school status to connect with our parents and make sure that our families understand how online learning works. And make no mistake that the shine has worn off, as it does. So if we were brick and mortar, there's kind of this emotional roller coaster that happens over the course of a semester, right? In October, folks tend to get a little bit tired, and then we have this amazing fall break and we get recharged and we come back. And we're finding that same emotional roller coaster is happening in online learning. So, although we're seeing that increased attendance, right? We're encouraging attendance. We're up and down with the amount of work that students are doing. And the other thing that we've discovered too, it's great that we have this new understanding of each other as humans, right? That I get to see my teacher's house, right? Maybe I get to see, my teacher's cat, teacher, family might pass by, or, and then in reverse, right? The teachers get to see the kids, except that again, with many of our upper grade students, our teachers get to see this. They just see a black screen. And for our faculty who are so used to reading body language and using qualitative cues to know if someone is puzzled or not, or just sad, or something's going on, we don't get that visual cue. And so I know that for our upper grades teachers in particular, it's been tough on them emotionally to be up, right? Because we're performing, right? And so to be up and performing at all times when we have that sea of, black screens. And part of that relates to the environment that our students are in. Some of our students don't wish for their, home to be shown. We have had some circumstances where we've really gotten to know our families in ways that we'll never unsee. And, we've just had some unusual kinds of interruptions and such too. So, we totally understand where students are coming from, when they do want to turn off, that viewpoint. And it's also one of the challenges that we face in instruction. Again, we have been, I think this has been one of the big questions, right, is for our students with disabilities, what's happening with them. Our team in Exceptional Student Services has been maintaining really careful, very, very tight logs on the IEP goals that they're working on with their students when they're working on those goals. The principals have been really smart about rotating through instructional aides and assistants and different staff members into classrooms. We're using breakout rooms and doing some things, a little bit differently for our students with disabilities. We've really, really forged, I think, some remarkable partnerships with the families of our students who have the most severe and profound disabilities, where those teams have really reached out to those families, and you see this beautiful partnership, where you have a therapist who's working with the parent, who's working with the student, and we've seen some really good progress with those students, which was unanticipated, to be honest with you, because of the tight relationships that we've formed. And we also know, though, that it is extraordinarily difficult on those families. We know that we are a source of respite for those families. And so we know that that's a real struggle. On the other hand, we know that our students with the most severe and profound disabilities are also the most at risk should they actually become sick with COVID. And so it's kind of this constant balancing act. We have had students who we obviously pay the tuition for them to go to private school placements. And that has also been a roller coaster because those private schools have also needed to close. Those families have gotten phone calls at 10 o'clock at night that their student will not be going to school the next day. Those families have been given occasionally weekend notice that their student won't be going to school, on Monday. And that's tough. I think probably the hardest on those students who have the most complex disabilities. And obviously our transportation department has just been phenomenal in providing that transportation support and being flexible when we're working with our private school and our privately placed students. We do have some virtual clubs and activities going on. We've actually been, Ms. Tussey just recently was talking with our principals to make sure that we're getting ready to go back brick and mortar. So, they're getting those rosters together for some of those pieces. Again, it is our intention that when we're able to be back brick and mortar, that we're going to be running simultaneous sports seasons as much as we possibly can. So that is still our goal and target. That has not changed. And then, of course, the different family support, that we've been providing. I mentioned the Pendergast Family Resource Center. We have, I think, just over 100 families that are going to be coming for diapers. They're going to do a drive-through diaper handout coming up. We have just over 150 students, mainly those experiencing homelessness and students that are in group home environments that are going to be receiving toys this holiday season. And, we've been helping, families navigate some of the different challenges. Just last night, yesterday evening, a principal sent me a flyer about some information for families who need to isolate, but they can't afford maybe for a hotel to keep the rest of the family safe. And so there's a program that you can take advantage of so that you can get your hotel bill paid for, so that you can isolate and keep the rest of your family safe. Principal let me know about that. So that's just our outlook. I think the other thing too, again, we'd really be remiss for not just shouting out food services. When we have a family member of one of our students, a caregiver, like let's say a parent or a guardian, and they are COVID positive, our food services department will put together a food box for the students in that family so that their family does not have to leave their home or leave isolation in order to feed their kids. They've been doing that consistently from the jump. I've had our principals, our counselors, our social workers leave those food boxes on doorsteps if the family's too ill to leave their home. Isabel has been out and making sure that we've got food security, for families that we can locate that might be experiencing homelessness. So we have really been, I'm really proud of our team for approaching this really as a whole child. We need our kids to have food security. We need our kids to have internet access. We need our families to be well in order for our students to do well. And that's really been the approach that we've been taking. Not sure if you have any questions specifically about distance learning and how that's been going before we jump into an update on the on-site support services. This is a lengthy presentation and I don't want to not give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have any.
Questions?
No.
None?
All right. Sounds good.
Go ahead, continue, Dr. Cruz.
Sounds good. All right. So as you know, we're offering, per the executive order, on-site support services. We do have approximately 40 students who are participating in on-site support services that are located at the Pendergast Community Center. The majority of those students are living in group home facilities or are in some other type of foster care. So the majority of the students there are not living with their biological family or with a foster family. We do have some other students there who have parents who are first responders. I believe we have 2 or 3. And then we have a few students for whom the parents just said they've just become too unruly in their home environment and the parents just need a respite. And so unlike other districts that have needed to open up significant numbers of facilities and have significant numbers of staff, we have found that for the most part, our community wants their children at home. They really feel like their children are safest at home. And we support that. We absolutely agree with that. In fact, over the course of these last few weeks, the conditions in the community, the health conditions in the community are such that according to the chart that's on the Maricopa County Department of Public Health website, we should actually shut down our on-site support services. We are currently trying to work through that process. I have a meeting later today with someone from the Maricopa County Department of Health. They have questions about our educational programming and whether or not we're providing online instruction before they will approve the health and safety closure of our on-site support services. I do not know why. I did not create the chart that is on the Maricopa County Department of Public Health website that says we should close. And I don't know why I'm going to be talking to a doctor regarding our educational support and systems, which have all been approved by ADE. We did have a successful ADE audit of our online support services and our online instruction. So we will keep you posted about that conversation and that process. We're doing everything that we possibly can to keep our staff at that facility safe, to keep our students at that facility safe. Again, we have had students who did have to quarantine. It was not related to their attendance at the PCC, and we have not had any spread between students at the PCC. So just like we've had zero spread with employees, we have also had zero spread with students that come to the PCC, like between them related to that, if that makes sense. All right. I think this is the part that everyone's really wondering about, right? Our return to brick and mortar. So we'll dive right in. These are the current case counts, as you can see. So things we thought were bad in July, and now you can see that they're really, really bad. And obviously I didn't take the case counts from this morning, but you all can see that they've obviously increased pretty significantly, you know, particularly where 6 of our schools are located in that 85037 zip code. Our mitigation plan has been on the front page of our website. We update that as we need to. So if we receive new guidance, you know, obviously we work with operations. That's really more on the operations side of the house, the mitigation plan. But those of us that work at the schools have to actually turn that into a do, right? So we look at it and we kind of go, you know, back and forth between like the guidance that we get from the trusts, the things that we can do at the school, the guidance we get, you know, from CDC, all that good stuff. Once we're able to, like when we see that the health conditions in the community are beginning to improve to the point where the county health guidelines say that we can return back to school, we're going to survey our parent community to see if they would like to have their students remain an online learning student or if they would like their student to come back face to face. Once we have those numbers, we're going to work with our school sites and we're going to work with human resources then to figure out our staffing patterns related to the students and where the students are going to be. What we know anecdotally from our colleagues and also from those of us who have kids is that when you have one teacher who is teaching this way virtually, right, and also face to face, neither set of students are getting the full experience instructionally that they should be getting. The instructional moves and strategies and the materials that we use in an online learning environment are different than the ones that we use face-to-face. And we don't recommend that a teacher try and live in 2 worlds and then try and make the instructional gains that we know we need to make. When we go back face-to-face, we are going to need to have just extremely laser-like focused instruction for students. We're gonna have to be really efficient, really effective, and having a teacher monitor online children and face-to-face children, it just doesn't make sense instructionally. We also know that it's causing some pretty significant burnout. And again, that's the anecdotal part that I hear from my colleagues where they have hybrid instruction. I think that we are going to absolutely be fully staffed next fall. The word is out that we take care of our students. We've taken really good care of our faculty and staff, and also that we're really focused on instruction. And I don't know, I kind of want to put flyers in some people's cars in certain parking lots, but Patty won't let me. She said that's like a hard no, so fine. So you'll see these are the options that we're going to provide our families. Again, preschool through 8th grade, families will have an opportunity to select, do you want your student online? Do you want your student face-to-face? We are going to be following mitigation guidelines. Certainly, those are going to change. We know that, right? As this has progressed, we know that those guidelines have changed. So know that the things that we said that we were going to do are the things that we're doing right now, because those are the guidelines that we need to follow right now. As the guidelines shift, we're going to come together and change that. So this is what it would have to look like if we were to go back to brick and mortar right now. Okay, so we just don't know. We'll have to provide you all with an update when that point in time arrives at how we are going to operationalize this. But we're basically taking, this is like the most cautious you could be. So that's why we're presenting this information. And again, making those adjustments For the calendar, again, we've got those guides. We will continue to offer before and after care when we're available to be back brick and mortar. That's going to be based on enrollment. And then we'll obviously follow the guidelines, that the Department of Health Services gives us for licensing. Remember that our before and after school programs are licensed. So we have kind of a different set of guidelines that we follow when we're talking about licensed programs. We will continue to use the PAC programs at the 2 schools that have the Phoenix After School Center programs. So we would have 8 of our schools. That's pretty much per usual. If we end up having more demand for before and after care, then we will increase those programs to across the entire district. Remember that our before and after care program is fully self-funded. So we have to make sure that that program has enough students to actually pay for the program. Right now, all of our employees that are working at the PCC with our students are doing this. They're completing a daily screening form. And again, it's following the specific guidelines that Maricopa County has put out right now. So we don't know if this process will be the same. I believe that you all received a copy of that screening form so that you could take a look, but that's the current set of guidance. And so that's what we're using. We do also have a health tech that goes to the PCC every day. And so she's conducting the health screenings right now. And she's the person who's kind of managing it if someone doesn't feel well, over the course of the day. And then again, we do have the student daily screening and a reminder that we had spoken with the parents and guardians of every student who is at the PCC and let them know that the health conditions in the community are unsafe and that they're taking a significant risk by having their students be with other students who are not living in the same household. We are following the guidelines from the trust. All of those guardians have signed a waiver per the trust request. To make sure that we're keeping it in bounds with all the different groups that we need to make sure that we are. Again, these are the guidelines in place now. When we are actually ready to approach brick and mortar, we will check what the current CDC guidelines are. We'll update this and we'll get back with you. There is a mandatory face mask rule now for students in school settings, and we are following that. We have been following that. We actually haven't had any difficulty with that. We have 1 or 2 students who are just kids being kids, and every now and then they're like bleh, and they don't want to, and that's okay. We talk to them, and then we're right back to where we should be. We do currently have our school psychologist, the team for Child Find is working, and they're doing those early childhood screenings. That is also based out of the PCC. Those staff members have face shields. If they want face shields, we do have barriers. So they're using PPE as they need to. We do have face shields available to the folks at the PCC. We have gloves. So, basically for any staff members that are required to be at a site working with our students or working with our families, we do have PPE available to them. And we have, thanks to our operations team. And then you can see that what will happen if we are back to brick and mortar. And in fact, right now, as we're doing our private school runs, the vehicles are being cleaned between routes. The students have assigned seats. We're asking the students and the families about, how the student is feeling before the student actually gets on the bus. We're looking at, some different, cleaning and disinfecting strategies. At the PCC, it's kind of my mom's dream come true. They're kind of like super OCD over there, and they like clean constantly, like they're constantly wiping something out. Those kids have probably never been in such a clean place in their life, but it is nice and clean, and they're cleaning between groups, and we're on a bathroom cleaning schedule again. It's those bathrooms have never shined like they have. Claudia over there at the PCC is phenomenal. We so appreciate her gold personality, and she is making sure that we're following the guidelines there at all times. So for social distancing, when we return, there just is a certain reality, and we spoke about this before. When your count of children exceeds 1, good luck keeping them away from each other. It's just not how kids are. It's not how humans are. You know, we are constantly having to remind our staff, hey, y'all need you to take one big giant step back. And it's not because they don't want to comply, it's because they really like each other. And it's just, you know, it's just not how we work, you know? And so we will do our best to maintain social distancing, but there is a certain reality to the fact that when the health and safety guidelines say that we can go back to school, I will tell y'all that the gymnasium at the PCC is not big enough for 40 children. We do not have a gymnasium-sized classroom for every single classroom. We just don't. We would spend our lifetimes building gyms in order to get the size classroom that you need in order to appropriately social distance. It's an unreasonable ask. And so we don't want to give a false impression that you can socially distance 20 people in a normal size classroom. You cannot. What we will do is have students facing the same direction. We will keep students in their social group at the upper grades, and we talked about how extraordinarily difficult this is on our upper grades teachers. We have purchased some really nice carts for them that have locking space. They can lock up their purse. They can, you know, have their, you know, instructional items with them. But the kids will stay put in the space. The teachers will be the ones to transition for the time being. We're also doing that with our special area teachers. And we don't take that lightly. That is a really, really rotten thing to do to a faculty member, to make them not have that home base, like be their classroom space. And so, you know, we've had faculty members who are talking about which wall in the classroom is going to be the math wall, right? Which one's going to be the social studies wall? What's going to be the reading, you know, things like that. They know that they're going to be needing to share space. And then, you know, the principals have been doing some mapping to kind of figure out like what are the best ways to move students around. Joanna Chartwells has partnered with our principals to make sure that we purchase additional tables for the cafeteria so that we can maintain our lunch schedules. It sounds crazy, but we need to maintain our lunch schedules because we have a really tight instructional time frame that we have to stick to, and we can't have really long lunch periods and maintain integrity with our instruction. So we've worked out some of those pieces as well. For pickup and drop off, there's no really good way to get 1,000 kids into Westwind real quick and not have them with each other. There just isn't. So again, you know, I think that we need to be realistic in our understanding of what it means to socially distance when you're bringing 600, 700, you know, 1,000 people into one space. We are going to have multiple entrances. We are going to do some staggering of where people come in, how they drop off their students. And we know that it's going to be tough. Our principals who have preschool programs have mapped out a different entrance for our preschool families. So preschool families will take a different way into campus so that we can, we know that those parents in particular have got to see their child safely to class. We know it. We need to just own it and work with it, and we are. So, you know, those are the kinds of things that our principals have been working through with their faculty. And so far, it sounds like we're in the right track. And as soon as we bring all those kiddos back, it's kind of like what Mike Tyson said about a fight. You can have a great plan until somebody punches you in the face. So we know that when we go back to school that things are going to have to change. And that's okay. You know, our principals are ready for that. They think they have a really good plan. We've got a great group of people. They're really thoughtful. And we think we have a good place to start, and then we will get better. Bus transportation, I think we've already talked about, and what Joanne's and Caleb's team is doing. Again, with the classroom layout, you know, we're going to be taking advantage of technology. I think the good news about this, the unintended positive consequence of this is that we're going to be closer to paperless in our upper grades than we ever have been. And I think that, you know, we're going to be able to utilize technology in new ways more so than we had been. And so we're really hopeful about that. And we think that that's a good thing. For the communal spaces like the playground, our initial guidance, so our right now, if we had to open, we would not be using our playgrounds. It's unreasonable to be able to clean a playground when you have 100 kids running around on it. And so we're just not going to go there. Again, when conditions change and we're able to go back brick and mortar, this guidance will probably change. But for right now, if we were to go back, we would use indoor spaces. We would certainly have the kids be in the field, right? We can definitely, have them doing their thing in those bigger spaces. And then again, with the lunchrooms, Jamie and Joanne have just been amazing to help us, think through the cafeteria. The principals have been super creative. If we were to go back right now, you'd see a lot of gymnasiums repurposed into cafeteria space. Again, just trying to expand because we've got to keep our lunch schedule going. And then obviously we would do the opposite of what our kindergarten teachers spend the year teaching the kids, which is share. We would have individual supplies for all of our students and make sure that, the kiddos have an opportunity to wash their hands and clean up after them. It's really just the antithesis of what we normally do. And so we know that we're going to have a tough go with that. As it is, we have to remind the kids, don't share your mask. I know you think that guy's mask is really cool looking, but we're not doing tradesies. They just have these big open hearts. And, we don't want to change that. We just need to keep the kids safe. And I'm not sure if you have any questions about our potential return to school, what that might look like before we move into the winter assessments.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz. I have, there were comments at the Parent Lunch and Learn on Friday about how they were so appreciative that we didn't open, close, and put their kids on a roller coaster, that we're waiting for it to be safe. So I just wanted to let you know that because that is so great. We've been consistent with the online and our parents have really supported that. Now, when we do go back and we have the full-time in person and then the online learning, things are really going to have to change, aren't they? With some teachers, some students might not have the same teacher if they go in person. How will that look?
Madam President, thanks again for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Again, we're going to survey the families to find out which of their students are going to be attending brick and mortar and which of their students will remain an online learner. Once we get those numbers of students, we're going to go through a staffing process in partnership again with our principals and with human resources. We don't have a really good way to predict right now what that's going to look like. So what could potentially happen is that we have all of the second graders at Pendergast want to go back brick and mortar, let's just say. Well, then that team would go back, right? If we have 10 Pendergast students and 10 Westwind students who are going to stay online students, we would then still need to take care of all those other sections of kids, right? So we would have the majority of the faculty go back to brick and mortar instruction at their school site. And then we would have to figure out which member of the second grade faculty is going to have that online class. So it is very possible that when we are able to go back brick and mortar, depending on the choices that our families make, their student's teacher might change. I think that our kids are pretty well prepared for that. And I say that because of the way the faculty has been working. So the faculty has been doing more co-planning. The faculty has also been following our pacing guides. Dr. Marr has actually been doing walkthroughs, less of a creep factor with her than with me popping up into your classroom. And she has been really excited about the alignment between our schools. So what she's seeing is that the teaching faculty is pretty close to the same place in their instructional objectives right now, which is a good sign for us. We don't want the faculty to all teach exactly the same way. We do want the faculty to teach exactly the same stuff. We need every student to have access to those state standards. So by having the faculty be so aligned, we can have you experience a different teacher and you're not going to have learning loss because of an instructional gap that happened because somebody wasn't following the pacing guides. The other thing is that the faculty have been sharing students. They've been seeing each other's kids. So we have more students who know more of the teachers at a school than they had previously. because it's easier to swap and share. Like you just click and then boom, you're in somebody else's classroom and your kids are still being supervised. So we think that the transition is going to go easier because of that. And we know that someone's going to be disappointed. Like I absolutely know that. We have fantastic teachers. Kids love their teachers. When we say, Mrs. Polmeyer is going to be the online teacher, and Dr. Cruz is going to be your face-to-face teacher, someone's going to be like, I don't want Dr. Cruz. I want Mrs. Polmeyer. Well, so, we're anticipating that, but we are going to have to work really closely with the principals and with human resources to map that out.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Cruz. Other questions? Any questions?
Yeah,
Go
Madam
ahead.
President, not really a question, but just a comment. I know Dr. DeBlue explained it to me yesterday or the day before, but I'm really troubled to hear that the county health department is wanting to learn about our instructional practices as well. That just seems kind of like the epitome of kind of bureaucracy and red tape that we don't need. Like it's really none of the county health department's business how we're educating our kids. It's their business to kind of keep us healthy. And so as long as we're working with ADE on that, it really should. So that, I mean, I guess that's a practice that I hope we can work with our county and our state to change and kind of clarify that practice, because I don't see why that should hold us back in terms of what we're doing in order to keep our kids safe. But just a comment that I wanted to throw that out there, and that's something I will look into further. But I'm curious to see what the response that they'll give to you guys later today.
Madam President, Senator Quesada, I share that concern, and Dr. DeBlue will keep you updated on our conversation. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I do not understand that. Why, when there are, we've met, we're in the red, it's not safe. I mean, this is just like you said, protecting our students and our staff. And we should be able to shut down with, let's put it this way, with no questions asked. So good luck to you, a little bit later with your conversations.
Yeah, Madam President, we pointed out that they made the chart. It's not our guidelines. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. They aren't our guidelines or our data. We're not making a request. We're literally asking to follow directions, and they won't let us follow directions.
That's disheartening. It really is.
Ms. Christopher would like for you all to know that I was off. I thought we had 225 families that received hotspots. It's 227. Thank you very much. And also we have 4 families. Let's see, it looks like, yeah, we have 6 families right now that were able to navigate the Cox process. I don't know if you recall, in the summer, we made something like 600 phone calls. We've had 6 families that have been able to navigate that process with Cox. So.
Wow.
Hilda, you have questions?
Yeah, just a comment, Madam President, Dr. Cruz. You probably already have this in your plan as you meet with this doctor, but my question would be that the support services component of our instruction, or I'm not even gonna call it instruction, but the support services for those 40 kids was by a executive order from our governor, which is the state entity. So why is the county entity involved in this process?
We will ask about that as well.
Other questions? Okay, Dr. Cruz, go ahead, continue.
Sure. All right. So the most important question that we need to answer then is, are our students learning? It is our primary function to make sure that our students are learning and achieving in the best way possible. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Wallen. You know, we actually are not done with our testing window. The testing window is complete next Friday. This is the data that we were able to compile last night, because we had a big chunk of our students who actually finished testing yesterday afternoon at 3. So Mr. Wallen was going back and forth with myself into the evening to try and figure out which graphs made sense. Normally we would have looked at this data for a week at a minimum before we were bringing this information out to y'all. So for the first time, the board and our public is seeing this information before our principals are seeing it compiled as a district. So, you know, please keep that in mind, that we haven't had a chance to dig into all this information yet. We'll actually spend next week doing just that. We'll spend the week next week taking a look at this information. We'll look over the winter break. Most of our principals have actually pulled the data that they can, and they've already talked to me about some of the shifts that they're going to make as a result of this information. So we've got folks who are already taking action on it. We've got folks that are changing their school schedules. They're going to be, you know, figuring out ways to work differently with their students where they feel like they saw success or where they saw less success. A number of our principals have been calling each other. I'm really proud of that. And they're asking, what are you doing? What did you do? What can I do? How did you do that? So we're starting to get like into the operational weeds with each other. How are you making that success happen? And that's exactly what we want to see our principals do. So kudos to them as a collaborative team working together to try and improve these outcomes, because what you'll see are outcomes that are completely unlike what we typically bring to you. As you know, we adopted a new assessment. So we got lots of feedback from the instructional faculty and from our principals that they did not like our previous assessment tool. They didn't feel it was aligned to the AZM2. It wasn't, you know, a strong enough predictor of how we would perform. And we need real data. We need good data in order to make good decisions. So we moved to the Illuminate assessment system. Again, we had a pretty big, almost 30-person assessment team that came together to review different systems, selected this one. So we were always going to move forward with this Illuminate system for the school year. What we didn't anticipate was having to give the assessments entirely remotely. So that was the part that's a first for us. And obviously it's been interesting, like the testing environment has been interesting, given the different, you know, internet challenges and also just not having that secure test environment. What you'll see in particular is at our younger grades, how much better our students did initially, which is unfortunately confirming what we were trying to tell our parents to do, which was very politely, could you please knock it off with helping your child with the test, because we really need to know what they don't know. And so you can see as you're looking at the data, and this is our upper grades data. So it's not quite so much at the upper grades as it is with our youngest grades, but you'll see when you look at our K1 data in particular that the students performed in some cases much better in the fall than they did in the winter. So we'll talk about that. This is a growth summary. And knowing that what the program does is it calculates the learning pathway that a student should be on. So how much growth you should make in order for you to be fully proficient at the end of the year. Knowing that proficiency is hitting at least an 80% mark. So that's the proficient bar. That bar is higher than it is on the AZM2, but we believe that this test is going to be more predictive of how students will perform on AZM2. So you can see here with our students that the red percentages are the percent of third grade students at any given school who actually made negative growth from the fall to the winter assessment. So you can see you know, some of these higher percentages, and we think that some of those are indicators again of some parent support. And we're almost done. I think we've got a few makeups left to do, but this is going to be the majority of our third grade students. You can see here that we've got about 50% then of these students who made low growth. Yellow is moderate growth. The green bar is typical growth. So you can see where we're at here is that we have relatively few students who are making typical growth in the current environment that we're in. So we're looking for the green bar for typical growth. And you can see that we have a relatively low percentage of students that are there. Again, this is 3rd grade math. This is 4th grade math. And I know that you all have this presentation. Again, I want to apologize that you got it so late at night, but you can take a look and see where our students. And as you look from 3rd grade to 4th grade, you can kind of see that our 4th grade students made more growth in math. As we progress through the grade levels, right now in this first blush, it isn't particularly predictive. Like I was hoping that I would see this decrease of students who made negative growth as we went across over time. And I'm not sure why it's not terribly predictive right now, but again, we're looking at this for the first time. So we're gonna have to drill in and down into like specific students and teachers in order to really understand what's happening with the data. So this is the overall information. Here's 6th grade. There's something about our 4th graders and our 7th graders that have responded like much more positively to this online math learning environment. It's good for you all to know that we are piloting some new math material at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at most of our schools. I think we only have 2 teachers who didn't feel like piloting this year. So the majority of our folks are piloting because you know that we have a pretty significant we had decreased math scores at 8th grade, and so we were backwards mapping, trying to get some new materials into those teachers' hands. The teachers have been responding extraordinarily positively to the new material. They like the new material. They've been coming together as in collaborative teams to have PLC conversations across the district surrounding the implementation of the new material. So we're hopeful about that. And then here's 8th grade. And again, that's our math summary. For our youngest students, they pre-tested in the fall when school began. They won't post-test until the end of the school year. So we don't give as many of these more structured assessments to our youngest students. Here's our ELA, again, growth. This is a test, again, that is relatively predictive for AZM2 performance. Because we didn't take the AZM2 as a system in the spring, we couldn't give those scores to the Illuminate company to have them connect up students for us to like do the analysis of predictive measures. When we're able to take the AZM2, we're going to be able to put that data in comparison with this data, and we're going to know a lot more about predictability. So we're missing an important data point because we didn't have students take the AZM2. Here's our 4th grade students. And again, we haven't done the comparability at different schools with different teachers and students. So that is currently a struggle. Our 5th grade students. And again, like what is it about the 4th grade? There's something about those 4th graders. I don't know, it's good to be 9. Here's our 6th grade students. Our 7th grade students, again, our 7th grade students are responding really strongly. Look at how much more typical growth our 7th grade students made. Isn't that interesting? The majority of our 7th grade middle school teachers are using the new pilot materials. And then here are 8th grade students. So we've got to look into that, right? Like we have many questions to ask about this information. Here's our FastBridge early reading. This you would be familiar with either Dibbles or Ames Web in the past. This takes the place of that. So you can see, and we always get these categories by like high risk, low risk, some risk. In this case, when you're looking at this, you can see the fall data and then the winter data, where you see really high student performance in the fall, again, with our youngest students. We expect our customers to come to us illiterate, like fully illiterate. We're really good at helping kiddos learn how to read. So we don't need them to know how to read when they come to kindergarten. We certainly love it if for some reason they know letters, colors, some sound, like that's phenomenal. And so when we see students starting really high, we kind of are scratching our heads about like, how'd that happen? So we're asking our families to please don't help your kids, because we need to know what your students know and what they do not know. So we're really getting that messaging out really, really strong for our families. And again, this is about 80% of the results. This faculty have until next Friday to complete these assessments. Here's our first grade. Again, you're seeing that performance, you know, like here at Desert Mirage, you can see that's an outlier. And then of course, we've got our FAST Bridge, which is the curriculum-based measures for our older students. Well, relatively older, second graders. And again, this is gonna have things you're familiar with, right? Words read per minute, accuracy in decoding, total words read, you know, so pieces like that. And again, where you see missing data points, it's because we're still administering the assessments. This is actually good news that this looks the way that it does for our third grade students. We're very concerned about our students who will be impacted by the Move On When Reading legislation that will require us to provide some intervention, some support for students who aren't reading on grade level. If we don't provide that support, if we don't see that growth, then we're required by state statute to retain those students. And so we're really looking closely at our third grade students, and I'm gonna move into showing you some of the work that we're gonna be doing for learning loss recovery. Before I move into that, I'm not sure if you have questions, things that you're wondering about, so that as we look into the data, we can hopefully get some answers to those questions. You can rest assured that we have many, many questions, and we're gonna be digging in and get down to the student level to figure out what's going on with our students.
Oh, you're on mute. I don't know if you're calling me.
Go ahead, Jet.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I have like disorganized paper in front of me now. So yes, so thank you for emphasizing the parents not helping. I've gotten many text messages during testing season reminding us of the timing of testing, and also for us not to help our children, which is sometimes heartbreaking to hear somebody answer the question correctly and then select the wrong answer on the screen. Which leads to my question about, I guess, like, is there any concern or talk, or as the data is aggregated, about like a gap in technology literacy or technology navigation versus the mastery of content? Like, is technology getting, are we testing technology mastery, or are we testing content mastery, I guess is my question.
Madam President, Mr. White, that's a great question. I think it's a question that we should always ask when we're giving assessments, right? So AZM2 is administered online, right? Our students take those high stakes state tests online. We know that we have always had different experiences for our students and their level of comfort and familiarity with technology versus, students in, potentially other locations. Right now, testing conditions, we're seeing everything from students that we can't time because their internet connection is so slow that we can't time them. Like you can't follow the testing protocol because of something that's completely out of the student's control, right? Infrastructure issue. We are really, I think, more grateful and reflective than ever about testing conditions. So when my kid had to take an assessment here at home, it was silent, right? Like silent, there's nothing around. No one's, are you plugged in? Are you charged? Did you eat? Are you good? I'm out, right? And in some of the households, you know, they don't have that privilege. They can't have, would the rest of you leave the house so that Jimmy can take their test? Like it just doesn't work like that in reality. And so, you know, I think that testing conditions are a significant impact on how students perform, right? I think that infrastructure is a significant impact on how students perform. I think that when you're sitting across the table from another human and they say the right answer, but they point to the right thing, you say, okay, is that a developmental fine motor control issue, which you should not be evaluated on right now? It's a very appropriate mistake to make, right? Can you take a deep breath? Show me again, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this is impacted by testing conditions, and this is the hand that we're dealt. And we can make lemonade. We have a fantastic community of learners. We can do this thing. We really, really can. You know, do we need to maybe get a Wi-Fi hotspot to a family? Do we need to like figure out some other strategy for these students? Yes. And we're going to have to figure out how to make this work. Like we have got to make lemonade. Like we have just got to move past this idea that we can't, or we won't, or we, you know, the kids are whatever the kids are fantastic. Our families can do this with us. Let's go. That's where we're trying to get everybody's mindset to shift into.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Madam President.
Go ahead, Hilda.
First of all, Dr. Cruz, thank you for all that you've done. It's almost mind-boggling how many balls you have to keep up in the air and still have some excellent results. You know, I looked at the data last night and I just closed my eyes and said, I'll wait till Jennifer talks to us about it, because it was just so much. And obviously to Mr. Wallen, I know it must have been very, very stressful trying to get everything done, you know, at the 11th hour and making sure that things were correct. Totally remember those days. And so please, him and his team, whoever helped him, please give him our gratitude for that. What I would like to emphasize is that, you know, we're in some very difficult times, and I'm just echoing what you're saying, but maybe saying it a little different from a board member perspective. Yes, we have to assess. Yes, we have to do it in a very difficult environment. And at the end of the day, it's to be able to get data that's going to help us to be better. I am not going to say that this year has been a waste, because it hasn't. You know, we've made great strides. Is it what it could have been had we not had the pandemic? Absolutely. But I think that all of us have heard in many different avenues that we need to be kind to each other. We need to take a deep breath. We need to say we're going to do the best we can under the circumstances. And as long as each and every one of us, and then collectively, we can say we're doing the best we can, it is what it is. And what moves my heart is the comment you made in sharing with us that the principals were seeing it when we were seeing it, you know, and not having the time to really dig into it, but they still did. Why? Because they care. Because they care. They're beginning to help each other with this. And that, at the end of the day, is why we do this, is to provide us with something that will help us to continue, knowing that some of it is anecdotal, of course, but all data is valuable regardless of whether it's anecdotal or not. And so I just want to thank you for continuing to keep your eye in the ball and making sure that because of our competitive nature that our principals have, that this helps them to, you know, to look at it. And had we not done the testing, obviously we wouldn't have anything to go by. But again, don't over analyze the data, because there's just too many factors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, Dr. Cruz, you want to continue?
Sure. So we're going to talk a little bit about our plan for our current, just as initial planning for learning loss recovery. We're talking specifically about summer school. We are really hopeful that we'll be able to host brick and mortar summer school. We did a virtual one. We'll talk a little bit about that in a couple minutes. We did virtual this year. We're really hopeful to bring kiddos in, and I'll talk with you a little bit about which students specifically we're going to focus on. So some research shows us that these kinds of programs are most impactful if we can get the faculty that know and teach these students on a regular basis. So if we can get our first grade faculty to participate in our first grade summer school, we know that that's more impactful than if we get our 8th grade faculty to teach our first grade students, right? We want to try and get the faculty who's most skilled in a given grade level to work with those students. We know that the most successful programs operate for about 5 to 6 weeks and have that 3 to 4 hours a day. So right now what we're looking at, as a summer school program, our focus would be on incoming kindergarten students who have not attended preschool. So again, we'll be figuring that out through the kindergarten readiness pieces, and as students are registering, we're trying to figure out who has not had a school experience. That's who we're going to be focused on. Also, our incoming first grade students who skipped kindergarten. We have a number of students who have not attended kindergarten this year. It is not compulsory. Compulsory school begins with first grade. And so we're also going to focus on those students. And then, of course, our 3rd grade students who are impacted by the move on when reading legislation. All right, so those right now, that's our focus. So kids who didn't have that school experience, we really want them to be successful. I know that our principals are deeply concerned about, our first grade students moving to 2nd grade. First grade is typically a year where we build a deep phonics foundation. It's where we do the technical instruction to help students learn how to read. We know that we have some students who just aren't getting as intensive a dose of that as possible. And if we're able to grow our program, we know that we're going to need to take a look at our priority students. So you can see the priority group here. This is what we're looking at in terms of curricular materials. We wanted to give you a sense of how much summer school costs. I'm not sure that we've ever gotten into the weeds about the cost of summer school, but a typical summer school program costs our school district about $21,000 a day. And I don't think folks realize that. And so you can see that in fiscal year 19, we did run summer school at all 12 schools. It was 16 days. And you can see that it cost us about $265,000. Our virtual programming cost less. We were able to do some cool tricks with Zoom. And so we were able to get faculty members from one school to another kind of magically through the wonder of Zoom. And then as you can see though, for fiscal year 21, we're looking at doubling the program size. And then this would be in person for all 12 sites. Potentially we're looking at 17 days. We think we can get this up to 20 days. Our target is 20 days. We would like for our students to have a full month of additional instruction. If there's any way that we can do it. We're just hustling right now to figure out what our Title I plus our Mauer budget. We're looking at ESSER. Because of Ms. Fiembre's work with the Enrollment Stability Grant, we're moving what we're allowed to move out of ESSER. We're moving some things around so that we can fund a more robust summer program. I think this is a really good example of the partnership operationally that happens in order to make the magic happen with students. So we're working on all these different grants. We're looking at carry forward. We're maximizing all of our carry forward from all of our grant programs as well in order to get us to this number. So we're really, really hopeful for that. This is one of those moments in time where we really have got to partner with our families. We need our families to really genuinely be our partner right now more than we ever have. We need our families to encourage their students to get online, to take those lessons with us, to do their schoolwork. We need our families, if their student is eligible for the summer programming, to bring their students. to every single day. Every single day is going to count here and be really impactful for their child. So we're really, really hopeful that we get to do this program in the way that we're currently thinking about it. And then we'll let you know, again, we're in the initial planning stages, and we'll let you know how it actually pans out. So that is the end of my presentation. I apologize for the length of it. I'm not sure if you have any questions that I can answer specifically about then summer school.
Any questions, Jed?
And really not a question, but just more of a comment, and to you, Dr. Cruz, and to Cabinet in general. I think number one, thank you for being connected to reality, number one, but also to the reality of our staff and our students as well. I think that you know, sometimes when folks move out of the classroom or move off of classroom sites or get to district office, right, the criticism is that folks get away from knowing what goes on in the day-to-day life of teachers and what classrooms look like and what students go through. So as far as the model, right, of you're either virtual or you're in person, I appreciate that. There's a very large high school district that announced their return to work program yesterday that is going to go to a hybrid model, which I do not find effective, and talking to other colleagues, not effective either, given the attention to the students that you have. So yeah, just overall with the presentation and the thoroughness, and just the thought about what is best, like, and that gets thrown around a lot, right? What's best for our staff, what's best for our students, and then just decisions are made. But I think really thinking about what does it, if I were a teacher, if I were a student, if I were a parent, I think a lot of those decisions are being made through that lens, and I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you. Other questions? Anyone else?
Madam President, just a thought around summer school. I've mentioned this in our previous meetings that it's whether it's going to be virtual or hybrid or in person, it's going to be so critical to helping our kids to get as close to a level playing field for starting in the fall than anything else that we will do. And it's important for us to, as we're logistically beginning to plan for this, that we look at how we're going to engage our families, our parents, guardians in particular, on how important it is for them to attend, to participate in these programs in the summer. And we all know that more than likely, if things go as we would like them to go, people are going to want to be gone for the summer. Those vacations plans that they didn't take for the last year, they're going to want to do it in the summer. That's reality, you know? And so how do we begin to engage our families to understand? And we won't be able to do that until like late spring, right? Because we won't know enough in terms of where we are with the pandemic. But let's make the assumption that things do get better in late spring and people are going to be able to travel and do the things they do. Will summer school be a priority to our families? And how do we work around that? Just a thought that we need to be cognizant of now, and how flexible and how resourceful can we be to still provide those services and still balance the need of our families and their personal priorities. If we all put ourselves in that position of, I haven't seen my mother in the last, year, and she lives in the East Coast and she's 85 years old. What am I going to do? Right? Once travel is safe and so forth. So that's reality, and that's what we need to work with. It probably will not be the traditional, in my mind, 20 days from this date to that date, but maybe staggering it perhaps. And I'm now just brainstorming, but I think that that's probably something we should consider as we learn more, is beginning to think outside the box, engaging our parents about what would work for them as we know more about what their plans are for the summer.
Thank you.
Dr. Cruz, thank you for the updates. You and your staff have been a step ahead with the planning, with looking at the future and what's going to happen with it if we, get to go back to opening our schools and the online. I'm so glad we're not going with the hybrid because I have heard too many horror stories from some other districts and the confusion and everything that goes on with that. Thank you for putting our students and our staff first in everything you do. We really appreciate it. And again, thank you for the updates.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Polmeyer and Ms. Shafir, you're going to be presenting on our marketing plan. Go ahead, take it away.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. DeBlue, Cabinet, and our Facebook friends. So indeed, Ray has voted that I will do the talking, but I may call on him. And we know that you're also anxious to hear about what we've been working on and what our upcoming plans. So we're very happy to do that. And here's the lovely Jasmine, who has her Believe Rock, and that kind of summarizes, Pendergast. We are the district that believes in you, and we use that in everything that we do. So Ray, next slide, please. Okay, so let's look into our data and what that tells us. I need to close my door. My dog is barking. I'm so sorry. Sorry, she's 15 and she's senile. So when we look at our marketing and our communication, we take a sorry about that. We use the RACE model, and that is research, which is really critical for us to delve into everything that we do, analyzing it, communicating it, and evaluating it. And we do that with all of the programs, everything that we do every day. We take a look at that. And that's really important because that way we're not throwing things to the wall and seeing if they stick. So with communication and engagement, you're making me laugh, everybody, talking about your dogs. I'm trying to stay focused here. Our communication is really critical, and our engagement with our families and with our staff members. And it's really critical now, and also as we look to return to in-person learning. We had a marketing meeting last week. We had about 16 people attend from all walks of our district. We had staff members, we had parents, we had business partners, we had administrators. And I just wanted to share and reiterate a couple of the things that they said. First of all, we asked them honestly, how do you feel about the types of communication we're getting? And they were absolutely thrilled. They feel like the district has done an amazing job. Every walk of the organization has done that. So I want to shout out to everybody, all the principals, all the staff members, Ray, Carrie, everybody, Dr. DeBlue has really spent time making sure that we are communicating at every level with our families. And they're very, very grateful for that. We've talked earlier about the competition that we face. We know what the numbers look like. We know our enrollment's declining. What that does, it makes us work harder. So I've done research and talk with other districts, and unless it's really a growing district like Queen Creek and some of the outlying districts, most everyone is experiencing declining enrollment. So that's going to make us focus harder on how we drill down into getting our own students back and taking a look at students that are possibilities from outside the district. So we'll be talking about that. And then we're also facing the challenges. We're looking at new ideas. We're looking at different ways we can connect to our families and potential students. And you're going to see some different marketing ideas that Ray and I have worked on. We meet every week. We go through the kinds of things that we need to talk about. And we also do planning. So next slide, please. So you heard from our students and our formal students this morning, which is exactly what we're talking about. We're really focusing on our brand advocates. When parents are at soccer games, or when they used to be, they would ask the parent next to them, well, where do your children go to school? And what do you think of it? And why do they like it? And so more and more we are relying on how we communicate with people. Ray has set up a section on our website for testimonials. We talk a lot about how kids feel about being in our district. And more what we know these days is a lot of our students are making the decisions about where they want to go to school. When I grew up, my parents didn't give me a decision about that. They were the ones deciding. But more and more, we want you to see our brand advocates. And so we have Brandon Williams. One second here. Are we? Okay, so we want to share with you some of our brand advocates. You're going to see this in ads that we're doing. You're going to see it in social media, on the website. And we tried to pick people from different walks of life, but people who really believe in our district. You can see that. I won't read it to you. Brandon's an alumni of Garden Lake School. We've connected him, so he's doing some things. You met Hannah earlier. She's doing amazing things and gives a lot of credit to the type of education that she got. And of course, Jaime Perez, who you probably remember, I had a wonderful conversation with Jaime, and he was absolutely thrilled to be able to participate in our marketing and be able to talk about how much he learned from Pendergast and how he wants to go out and share that information. So we'll be doing that. We wanted you to know that. We also interviewed parents on video about how they felt about the district, and they were very complimentary. They feel like Pendergast really takes the time to meet individual needs and helps with individual growth and potential for every student. So we are very pleased to be able to talk with these parents. You'll be seeing it in different videos that we're doing as we reach out into our new communities. All right, we're going to play the video so you can just
Important thing for us is see our children very happy every single time that we notice when they come out of the school. They're happy. They're telling, I learned this today, I learned that today. I'm so happy, and they are not struggling with any subject anymore, especially my daughter. That she's always struggling with math. Now she's happy learning math. Mom, I know how to get this, I know how to do that. So I'm so happy to see my kids happy.
I have one child that is gifted and one child that struggles and has an IEP. And how they approach those children is different. They don't treat them like they're just a number. They truly know their personalities, and they help them with their specific needs, as they're very different. My child that is gifted struggles behaviorally and socially, and they're working with him on those areas, where my child that struggles academically is getting help and special services to help him with those academic needs. And so they just have gone over and above to make sure that they are well-rounded children.
The best part is the excitement that I see in my daughter's face, the enthusiasm to go to school. When she goes, even when she was little, but even now she's more excited to go to school because of the way she's received. She's like jumping around and running into school, and she's so excited. She wants to go early. She wakes up at like 6:30 and she's prepared at 7:15. I'm like, the school doesn't open till 7:50. So like, no, I want to just be there by the gates.
And then going to meet the teachers. It was neat to meet the teachers, to be able to have an opportunity to see a good fit for my daughter, because again, it's about the child as a whole. And I met I met 3 teachers in her grade, 3rd grade, and then we talked about it and decided on the best one for her. So again, just the resources and support you guys have, especially with your resource center and these parent luncheons that you have on a monthly basis, are really phenomenal, and I'm grateful for them.
Happy people, and we know that that's really important. So getting those out in all different ways is really critical, because that helps us to connect with our communities internally. And also it's really important, we have a lot of parents who don't have kids in school yet, or community members that will rely on to vote on any upcoming elections we may have. So we do a lot with positive media stories, and that's really important in our local media, as well as on our website and social media. And this is just one example of the PPE that was given to all school districts in Phoenix, especially Pendergast, from the city of Phoenix. And you can see Councilwoman Betty Guardado and Principal Abraham Gonzalez, Dr. DeBlue, Dr. Cruz, and Mayor Gallego. And we have the chance to thank her and be featured in many news articles. So I send the positive media stories to you every week, and thankfully they've all been positive, so we love that, so that you're able to see the kinds of work that we're doing out in the community. So this is the adage that we live by: your customer doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We are a caring community in Pendergast. Our principals are right in sync with us in terms of reaching out, helping us. We're looking at different things in terms of how we drill down to the very basic level of connecting with the customers. You know, they call it customer acquisition, but it's looking at our reviews and making sure they're positive. You're going to hear about some of the things that we're planning on. You come to our lunch and learns. We've had amazing participation. We had 87 people yesterday. People raved about it. I was just going through the chat this morning. We thank you for being there, and we know when you can't be there, that you're looking at those. Our community absolutely loves them. We vary them in different ways. It keeps them connected to us. It's very special, and it's something that other districts don't do. Our broader community, not our parent community also, they love the community cabinet lunch and learns because we feature different topics. Our one coming up on January 26th, because our one that we featured, Desert Mirage School, the field trip, virtual field trip there, we'll be taking a virtual field trip to Via de Paz School. We've already begun our planning. They're very, very excited to feature their Computer Science Academy. They have wonderful teachers that they're highlighting. And as you know, those have resulted in many partnerships, dollars for our district, and connections to our overall community. So we're very, very proud of doing that. And that takes a lot of coordination. We have an amazing team that works on that to make everything go seamless. So we're very, very grateful for that. So coming up is Be Loved in PE, Be Loved and Be Ready in PESD Kindergarten, Ready, Set, Kindergarten. We know that we can't be at the PCC for that amazing event that we've had for the past number of years, but we have an incredible team. We just had 8 kindergarten teachers sign up to be part of that yesterday. Dr. Cruz is part of our team. We have an amazing committee that's divided up, and they're just have some fabulous things set up that they're going to be working on. Thank you, Dr. DeBlue. It's going to be really great. We've got videos they're planning. They're going to be drive-throughs. We're going to be doing Facebook ads. We have one of our community partners that donated 100 yard signs. So we're going to be looking at doing things differently and we have sponsors for everything, so it doesn't impact our budgets too much. And we know, and the committee knows, how critical it is that we bring in those kindergartners. Dr. Cruz mentioned that the decline in our state is down by 14% in kindergarten. And it's not just being down, it's the fact that they're missing a whole kindergarten year. And that is critical to have them part of that. So we'll absolutely be working on that. And you'll be seeing, we're moving it up. Before we had it in March, we're now moving it up into February. And everybody's really, really excited about the possibilities and the kinds of things that we'll be doing. So I'll be keeping you informed on that. And our neighborhood outreach, and thank you to Ms. Finbrace. We have some new home developments and apartment developments. We're going to be reaching out to them so that we are connecting them and letting them know Pendergast is their neighborhood school. We want them to attend. It looks different because, you know, because we're virtual right now, but that doesn't mean that we can't connect them to what we're doing and making sure that we're looking at all the different ways that we can reach out to them. So we'll definitely have plans to do that. One of the things that we did for contests, and we talked about that, is that our schools have been offering incentives. We also offered two $50 gift cards yesterday for parents to attend, and they seem to really like that. They're very excited about that. So our partners are very generous about donating things like that, and whatever it takes to get our families engaged, you know, we care about them and we want to learn with them, we will be doing. So that's one of the things that we are continuing to do. And You know, as we look at what are the kinds of things that we need to do, we have the best product. I could not be prouder to work in Pendergast District and to have the colleagues that I do, but we need to get the word out so that we can get our enrollment up. We can keep the people that we have. We know it's been a very challenging year, like none other, but we also know that we will go ahead. Yes, Jose is missing his grandson. But we know that it makes us work harder. We've got a great team. We're all on the same page. We understand what we need to do. And so we're going to go after it. So thank you so much. It's a privilege and an honor to work here. And Ray and I will be happy to take any questions. So I thank my team. Amazing work, and we'll continue. So thank you.
Thank you, Nita and Ray. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions? Netta, I know you mentioned the parent lunch, and yes, there were great comments yesterday, and they just loved. Some of them were first timers to the Lunch and Learns, and they were saying, wow, I didn't realize you guys are giving out all this great information. They were really impressed.
And it really aligned. What was really nice. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes it's hard on Zoom to time that. They were really impressed with the type. What we do at every lunch, as you know, is when we planned an SEL tip. And Jamie Christensen from Copper King did a beautiful job yesterday. We always plan ahead of time and talk, but it was really wonderful. And you could see in the chat, people were really responding to things that they're doing that they learned from her. And also a parent tip, because we know that it's hard for parents and what they're doing, for them to share their successes. So we had a wonderful parent, Rhiannon Santiago from Rio Vista. We do trade schools, so we're not just all focusing on one school. And then, of course, our presentation from Victoria Saylor about parenting in the digital age, which parents really came away with a lot of great information. And wonderful that we have staff members there too, so they can follow up with that and they can reinforce that.
Great, thank you.
Pleasure.
Martine?
Yeah, just real quick, Madam President. Those testimonials were really good. Where can I find those again? You said they were on the website?
Oh, yes, Madam President, Senator Quesada, they're on the website under media, under press releases.
Okay.
Yeah, because I look at them
Yeah,
all.
we just started putting them up there. So the videos, those are brand new. Well, they're not brand new. We filmed them right before the world ended, but we're just putting those together now.
Yes, and Mr. Pallmeyer has been doing a wonderful job getting all those out on social media. We'll be sending into the schools to put on Class Dojo. And parent satisfaction, when we do our surveys, we know how satisfied our parents are. They're always in the 90s, but it's getting that out there to our new audiences and engaging them that's really critical for us. So that's what we're going to be working on. And you see the kinds of things that we have coming up, and everybody's keenly aware of that. Our great teams, our marketing committees, our recognition committees, our kindergarten readiness committees, all of those working as teams together. So thank you.
You do a fantastic job. Thank you. Hilda, you have a question?
Just a couple of comments, Madam President, Mr. Pallmeyer, Ms. Shafir, you do an excellent job. You always do. And we appreciate everything that you do. You're so resourceful. And you think outside of the box, and you probably had a little bit of this skill, but you've really brought it out, learning from Dr. DeBlue that for any of our community partners, they're there to help us. But if we don't ask, what happens, right? So I'm sure that you partnered with some of our partners out there to say, okay, you're not expending on breakfast at our community partner breakfast. So what can we do to continue to engage our community? Because we all know you feed and they will come, right? Well, we can't feed at this point. So providing those gift cards obviously was a great idea where we can still engage our our community partners. So thank you for that. And just a question for Mr. Pallmeyer. I believe this would go to you. As I look through our Pendergast Facebook page, I see individuals, and not just our parents, but others who give us a lot of accolades. So do you look at those for opportunities to also do other testimonials from this, from those who are speaking about us positively?
Esteemed board members, Madam President, Dr. DeBlue, Cabinet, members of the audience. Can you tell that I was just reading that right now? I'm sorry. I tell you what, our audience is what inspires us. Miss Shafir, she goes out there and she shakes the trees and everything else and gets those people that love Pendergast and are passionate about Pendergast. And, you know, you can really tell from those videos how passionate those parents were. Those are actually, each one of them is about 5 minutes long. And I don't know if you noticed, but the gentleman, he's actually welling up into tears talking about his children. And so it really does inspire us. And you know, they're out there. They're very easy to find because so many people want to, you know, you always hear the negatives, and those are the people that tend to stand out. But I'll tell you what, the positives, they tend to be a little quieter, but they're always willing to give a positive thing. And I think our Facebook page is a good example of that. We have a lot of positive comments that come out of, you know, a certain post here and there, especially when we feature children. That's when it really inspires people, and they really connect with the district.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. DeBlue, you want to recap?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, members of the community. Oh my goodness, what a great morning. Just spending it with you and all this amazing information. I have to say, as a superintendent, I know 1,000% that I have the best board ever and the best cabinet ever. I mean, you are absolutely exceptional, and I am honored and privileged to work with each and every one of you. So I'm going to keep my comments shorter than anticipated because we do have that very wonderful call at 1 o'clock with Maricopa County Health Department with Jennifer. And I know Jennifer is looking forward to that, and so am I, and we will certainly keep you informed. But one of the things I want to close with is to let you know what is the constant at Pendergast. And I think what you've heard is the safety of the staff, the students, and the community. We have not veered from that whatsoever. Communication. We tend to over communicate, but we'd much rather do that to keep all of you and our community informed. An extremely dedicated and loyal staff who continue to work tirelessly, even stopping to go out, feed our kids when needed if transportation can't do that. And that's just one example. Not to say, but I'll say it again, an amazing supportive board who knows what it takes to keep our district safe. And I have to tell you, I get many calls, text messages with people who are so appreciative of what Pendergast is doing. No, we have not given a hard date to come back. Why? It is not good or healthy, emotionally stable for kids and families for us to say, come back in 2 weeks, no, go home for 2 weeks. That would be way too much of a hassle for our families. So we will come back on when it's safe to do so. Until further notice, we will continue giving our distance learning, digital learning, and we will send out more communication on that prior to the holidays. And we want to tell the parents who are listening, please, please, please update your addresses. We want you at Pendergast. Remember, we're the district that believes in you. It's okay if you don't live in the district because we have open enrollment. So please, please, please reach out to your principals, to any one of us so that we can update our records because we want to be able to communicate with you effectively and efficiently. We appreciate that. Our data, not the best, but you know what? Right now is not the time to focus on those assessments. I'm not going to review again. Dr. Cruz explained perfectly the conditions in which the kids have to test nowadays. Not ideal, not ideal. So we will worry about continuing with the instruction and focusing on the emotional aspect of what all of us are going through during this pandemic. And also the last thing I want to say is it's been a rough couple of weeks with our Pendergast families. And I think Susan was going to mention this, but we had the death of an 8th grader, which we are so sorry for. One of our beloved teachers, her husband passed away unexpectedly in an accident, and so much more. So if we could just pause for a moment of silence for these, but also for others who are going through so much pain and grief. And with that, I don't want to miss anyone, but I want to thank our amazing staff, students, and community who are so supportive, always there for us. The work that they are doing is exceptional. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know you are loved. We believe in you. And please continue to hang in there with us as we get through this together. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. DeBlue. And Dr. DeBlue and Cabinet, thank you so much for the presentations today. I mean, it was very informative. You help make us as a board better board members because we have the information, and that helps us with the decisions that are going to come down, you know, now and in the future. I am so impressed with all of our employees and what is going on day in and day out during this pandemic. I mean, you have, like you said, Dr. DeBlue, prioritize student and staff safety, and that in turn keeps our community safe. You've given resources to our family, the hotspots, the internet connections, as well as supplemental material and feeding all of our students 18 years and younger. That is so impressive. And you haven't skipped a beat on any of this. We are number one because of our employees. We truly are. Pendergast District is number one. And I do want to thank all of our families and community out there too, because you have been so patient and you have really supported our teachers and staff during this time. You're an amazing group too, because you're out there helping with your child's education, and you help make the district number one too. Thank you to all of you. And thank you again, I can't thank you enough for the presentations today. On behalf of the board, we really appreciate it. With that being said, does anyone have any future board agenda items? Martine?
Madam President, not a future agenda item, but I just wanted to also just say thank you to everyone for the presentations today. Very, very helpful and very, very informative, and it really helps put everything in perspective with what we are doing. Thank you. You do make our jobs a lot easier serving on this board. So thank you, Ms. Fimbres, the Polmeyers, Ms. Tussey, and Dr. Cruz. I become a bigger fan of you every day and your vision. So thank you for all you do. And Dr. DeBlue, of course, thank you for all you've done.
Thank you. And so may I have a motion to adjourn the special board retreat?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Carrie, roll call.
Martin Cazares,
Yes.
Jose Arenas. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Hilda Ortega Rosales.
Yes.
Jet White.
Yes.
Susan Theron.
Yes.
There being 4 in favor, the motion carries.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned again. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.